Well, this will be the 11th episode of the ESOU podcast, this time featuring, for the first time ever, 2 different special guests at the exact same time, and their names are Defy Legends and 8 Puppies with a 1 for instead of a T. Alright, well, why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? Because maybe people don't know who you are.
After you, brother.
Yeah,
you want to go first?
Yeah,
What do you want? Do you want a background? You want my
lore. I want your lore.
My lore.
Why are you here?
Why am I here?
Why are you here? Who are you?
Let's see. I started off as a console player. The very first legit raid team I was ever on was called 12 Deep. Still some dispute to that. Actually, before that, when VSO first came out, because it was after the 2 other Craglorns, I was on a team called More Than Fear, but then they broke off because they wanted to be like cooler than the other team and made Fear's Failure, and we were the first Ebonheart Pact team to get the first VSO clear. So that was that's my only world's first.
What a sweat, bro.
And then took a break and then played like Apex and Fortnite and stuff. Played a couple tournaments there, won some money, and then I came back to ESO.
How much money?
A little less than 10,000.
Okay.
But
Sheesh.
What?
I played. It was a lot of like game battles tournaments, but I also on Fortnite's official like website thing, I won one of their like actual tournaments where you had to like compete against everybody in the world.
Damn.
And so I got like 70th or something like that, and I got like a couple $100 worth of V-Bucks. So hell yeah.
$100 of V-Bucks. Oh, the Fortnite.
It was a free tournament. So it's something that you can add to my name, which is kind of cool. And then I eventually ended up leaving console because this really cool streamer named Nephis invited me to come play on his PC team.
I remember.
So I did that for a bit. Had a lot of fun there, and then fell in love with PC. Got into the in-game community really, really deeply, and now I'm, I'd say, one of the more popular in-gamers. At the moment, my goal is, I mean. At the moment, my goal is to pug a Godslayer, so I'm working on that.
Pug a Godslayer, okay.
In the ESO Runs Discord. We've gotten full Vit Navi fucking 5 times. So, with just like random people. But it's mostly selective. But every time I usually take somebody that doesn't have Godslayer, so people can't say it's just a bunch of people with Godslayer. They just get together real quick. But yeah, that's basically me.
Okay. Well, I think there could be some inaccuracies in your lore, but
what's that?
Oh, one of the more popular raiders.
One of the more popular. Oh, okay, buddy.
The Nephis invited him. I don't know about that one either. I swear.
You picking what? Oh wait, was it Fatal?
No, it wasn't Fatal.
Never mind.
What? Fatal wasn't even there. It was V-Off.
Originally?
Was Fatal there?
I'm pretty sure it was Fatal that invited me.
No, it was not. I don't think Fatal was even there at the time, right?
I'm pretty sure it was. Who was it then that invited me to the team to try out? No, I'm pretty sure it was Fatal.
It was probably me. Who knows, dude? I don't know. All right, Puppies, your turn.
Okay. This man saying I don't want the right lore. Fuck out of here.
So I guess I'm primarily a console player. A few years ago, I started. I just started ESO like pretty much with the game launch, but I was just kind of a RP or quester, getting Codwell's achievements and stuff like that. Stopped playing the game for a little bit, and kind of got back into it after Somerset, and made a trial team out of the social guild. That team started 3 years ago, and I mean, of course, it's not all the same people, but it's still going today, with 2 more teams branching out of it. The original team has gotten every trifecta up to Godslayer and Planesbreaker, which is what we're working on right now. It's kind of neat to have been able to, stick with a few of these guys for for so long doing it, and I think it's such a reason that I have such a heart for console and game in general. I started playing on PC, I don't know, maybe a year ago, after Defy brought Infamous, our console team at the time, over to PC. I kind of wanted to just get a feel for some of the different things that I felt like I could improve on, and I wanted to be able to visualize and see that on CMX and logs and things like that. And with the idea of being able to take these ideas back to console, because there's kind of this massive knowledge gap in terms of setups, composition, and just overall really how to play the game on multiple roles between PC and console. So I was hoping to be able to do that relatively effectively. But I've been leading that one team for about 3 years, the second team, which is Prague and VRG hard mode right now, for about 2 years, and then a brand new team that has almost gotten our first VMO hard mode clear. I guess I DPS for the first team, tank for the second, and heal for the third.
See,
Mr. Rollwise.
now that's proper lore. All right, you got the hero's journey, Defy. You got the origin, the conflict, the resolution. You're like, oh yeah, I'm the best raider.
Fuck out of here. Hey, okay. I brought
That's
the
lore.
team from console to PC. All right.
Okay, well you didn't mention that.
Okay. Well, I forgot.
We are infamous.
You asked for my lore. All right. I guess that's technically my lore.
Yeah. All right, now that people have an idea who you are, we can talk about whatever. And we can talk about a wide range of topics, including console. So I guess the first question I think most people will be interested to listen to about is, Defy, why are you a traitor to the console community? Why are you a cheater using add-ons? Why are you such a piece of shit?
Dude, I transferred over, and once I realized how easy it was to get Godslayer, and I could just do it with one hand, I just couldn't go back.
Oh man.
Dude, honestly, I'm actually finding out more and more that a lot of the top parsers that I know all use controller. Like, for example, on my team, Steenie, who's insanely good on any class. I found out recently that he uses a controller, and he's from Korea. The man doesn't say a single word ever. I've never heard him speak, but that man can hit hard as fuck and not die. And he uses a controller.
This whole controller versus mouse and keyboard debate, I think it's whatever, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean controller gang all the way. Up top.
Yeah, sir.
It's preference. You guys still use controller on PC?
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Have you tried mouse and keyboard?
I look like I have. I look like I.
Puppy's face is like, yeah.
Cerebral palsy whenever I use mouse. I'm over here 1, 2. How do I use a potion? I'll accidentally use my alt. Since I can bring my computer to work, I tried doing a random normal using mouse and keyboard, and it was like a fungal one, and it probably took me an hour.
Bruh.
It was the worst thing ever. I literally, I was on my crow, and I casted maybe 3 blast bones the entire trial, the dungeon, and it was just light attack skull, light attack, and you can't move. I have no idea how to move. I literally look like this is my very first time in a video game. It was horrible.
Oh yeah, when we were in Dawnbringer with Infamous, my controller died, and so I was like, "Oh, well, screw it! I'll just switch to mouse and keyboard while it charges real quick." And my parse lost about 40k.
40k?
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Oh, boy.
It was bad. I went from top parsing to being out parsed by the EC crow.
I mean, now I know why Defy couldn't get more than $10,000 in those tournaments. You weren't using mouse and keyboard.
Jeez.
Okay, buddy.
Unlucky, bro.
It's lucky around.
But run me a Fortnite time. I'll pay 90s on your ass.
How much time did you put into the mouse and keyboard, though? Out of curiosity.
That hour in Fungal 1.
I tried kind of training myself on it in VMA and NMA, just kind of going in there by myself with keys, and I just couldn't. I don't know. People that I know who have switched from controller to keys say that it takes them a month or 2 of solid practice to be able to effectively use it, and they get an MMO mouse.
Yeah.
Oh, true. They have the Naga or whatever it's called. It has the couple buttons on one side, and they have the mouse.
I don't know any console player personally who has switched and just used not an MMO mouse. But
feels like you don't really need an MMO mouse for ESO.
I don't know. Whenever I use it, I'm like straight down. Look at this thing. I can't even look at my screen. Like wanted to just pecking the.
Button this synergy again.
Yeah. Yeah. Which one? I'll accidentally hit my mount in the middle of a run. Like,
yeah.
Like,
Bruh. Okay. So one of you, Defy, you fully transferred to PC. Have you played console since?
I haven't played console in like almost 2 years. I've been considering it.
Whoa, why?
I don't know, just something else to do. Because after I pug Godslayer, like in my personal team is going to go into PB soon, since that's the last thing we're going for. And like, other than that, and I have a weekend team that I'm healing Godslayer with, and I'm taking like a bunch of people that don't even really have trifectas through. And after that, I'll have like pretty much everything done on every role except for Planesbreaker. And so, I don't know. I got to go back to console and get a Godslayer there so that all my Godslayers here can mean something. They can't just be like, oh yeah, you got your 12 Godslayers with add-ons that don't count and shit. So I don't know, but we'll see. The biggest thing is I also want to help a lot of people understand things. Pups is pretty much already doing that mostly, but I gotta come take some of his glory. And, I don't know. I still have a good amount of friends over there. It would be nice to go back and at least finish off Godslayer, since that's the last thing I was progressing before I switched to PC. After that, I don't know. Just kind of.
You gonna need do you have an Xbox Series X for that?
No, I don't even have an Xbox.
I highly recommend it.
It'll change your life, bro.
That's so. The things that I'm most worried about if I go back is, one, the thing that I love the most about PC is I can change how fast I can turn. And like I have mine on PC set to where I can just spin around like I have a mouse. It's so nice.
Huh?
And wait, did you not change your sensitivity?
Wait, what?
Brother,
It's finding out now.
I literally have my controller. I'll show you later, but I'll have my controller sensitivity turned up to the point where I can spin and change targets insanely fast, and that's not something that you can do on Xbox yet. So that's gonna be like a little bit getting used to. But that, and they have some sort of action duration reminder, but I've heard it sucks.
It's bad. It's really bad. It needs a lot of work.
Yeah, but I mean, it's something. I don't really care too much about that. At this point, I've gotten pretty dynamic with my rotations, so I pretty much know when to drop stuff. And I've fallen in love with I've been forced to fall in love with tanking because apparently there isn't very many good ones out there, and so I just picked up that role.
And that's always been the story, right? No one can tank or wants to tank.
Dude, it's always every chick heals. There's always healers. And no one ever fucking takes. Everyone wants to be a Chad DPS that hits like 30k on Navi, and you're like, bruh.
30k on Navi? That's not Chad. What are you talking about?
Well, they think that they're Chad is what I mean.
Godslayer, baby.
Oh, man. And so...
Jesus. We can talk more about that later if you guys want. But, Defy's already kind of mentioned it, but Puppies, you're the other player here. You've played on PC, but you're also focusing a lot on console. Why is that?
I think for me, it was just like the teams that I have, like I said, been around for 3 years almost at this point, and it's not something that I could just kind of pick up and leave. And I wanted to make sure that I got these guys through everything, and that the teams lasted as long as they could, and that these players reached their potential. Because kind of the thing, I don't know, I feel like one of the biggest differences between PC players and console players is that, like, console endgame raiders, in my experience at least, typically exist because, for one reason or another, some shit happened at some point in their life, and ESO is kind of an escape. I don't find that this is as true on PC all the time, but, like, for a lot of console players, you don't get into endgame raiding unless, like, something was going on. Like a lot of the players who are there now might have worked through it, and that's great. I'm one of those players who started that way and ended up kind of like working through it, and I'm still here. But it's a very common theme from what I've noticed, and so I think it's so important to build the console endgame community to, first of all, be a lot less toxic than it is now, and I think that's probably one of the reasons it's so toxic. But to also give people the opportunity and ability to use this game as an escape if they need to, because it's a great game to use for that sort of a thing. So I have a lot of personal investment in it too. But at the same time too, like grinding a completely new account on PC was something that was off-putting for sure. And still, even I'm behind on gear all the time. Like we joke all the time. Mm-hmm. Infamous just got Godslayer, and we're in Halls of Fabrication. I still have all my Sunspire setups. And so I'm sitting here like, what do I need for freaking Spider? And just constantly behind on geodes and behind on gear. And like the add-ons are cool, but not something that really makes PC that much better for me personally. Because I just learned how to play the game without add-ons. So, I mean,
I'm going to be like an ex-girlfriend here bringing up the past. And I quote, a puppy said, "This is fucking bullshit. This is literally cheating." In regards to Alpha Gear. I don't know, man. Sounds like, PC's over or something.
Oh, yeah. There's some add-ons that I think I would definitely consider to have a competitive advantage over a console, right? Okay. And when console players talk about cheating, they don't really understand a lot of add-ons and what they do. Like the one that console players like to try to point out is like Raid Notifier, which is just crazy because like you don't need it. It's just a different way of looking at, like, you still have to pay attention to something. It just looks different. That's all it is. And a lot of people don't understand that. Even in just a rock grove the other day, I was with Sea Unicorn and I was calling out the Soul Weaver's shield mechanic before the add-on popped up, and was just trying to explain it's just a different way of looking at the game. But the add-ons that do provide a competitive advantage, in my opinion, are things like gear swaps. I even think I'd consider logs to be something that's kind of detrimental to endgame growth and progression. And things like synergy blocker are provide a small damage increase. So I mean, there are things that definitely result in PC having higher scores, and I think that we all understand that.
Mm-hmm. One thing you mentioned that I've never heard before, interestingly, was you pointed out that ESO has been sort of a escape game for the rating demographic for endgame console players, or at least endgame Xbox players on Xbox NA. Well,
yeah, for sure.
So and you said that's a common theme?
I think in my experience, I mean, everyone's experience is different, right? But the vast majority of the people that I've raided with are going through something and going through a lot. And it's something that the raid leading 3 different teams for the last 3 years that I've heard players come up to me all the time and they're like, dude, I don't know if I can do this because I have this going on in my life. And I'm like, bro, that's what we're here for. I've never failed the progression, and I've never had to replace anybody on my teams. And it's kind of something that I hold highly of, because we need to give people the opportunity, despite what they're going through
in their
personal lives, to do this sort of thing.
What?
Because he took over the team I left. For God's when we were progressing God's
that was a long fucking progression.
Yeah, and so when he says I've never failed, yeah, they got it. It took them a bit. So
took us a long time.
I give him credit for sticking that out, but I could not have done that. No, thank you.
So when you say people are going through things, what do you mean? Like serious? Like how serious?
I mean, so for me personally, I guess an example, I was going through a breakup with my ex-fiance at the time, and that was something that was really hard for me emotionally. And so I had kind of used ESO as an escape. And similar situations, some people are going through some mental things, with anxiety or depression. Some people are going through some kind of life-altering changes with family or with relationships, and just kind of need a place to grow and learn and feel okay about themselves for a little bit.
And you're saying that's most raiders, or just endgame raiders?
I think it's a lot more than people realize. I don't think it's all endgame raiders, but I think it's a lot more than people realize on console. It's at least probably half of all of my teams right now.
I mean, a majority of the reason people play video games is to escape. So doesn't it necessarily even have to mean in-game raiders? It could be just anybody. People,
yeah, for sure.
Picking flowers in Somerset to looking for an NCR 0 in Craglorn. Anybody can pretty much be.
Oh, I don't know, picking flowers. I don't know if that's
dude, some people enjoy that.
rehabilitative.
I can't. I have to be fighting a boss with 11 other of my brothers or sisters. I can't be picking flowers. I'll pay for somebody to pick me flowers to make potions for my raid team to fight a boss with all my brothers and sisters. But
yeah, I mean, teach their own.
Yeah.
What's up?
For sure.
Yeah.
To each their own, he said.
True. There's dudes that be doing writs on 10 accounts, 20 characters every day. I'm like, bro, what? How can you press E that many times?
Console, bro.
Yeah, even on dude. I struggle with lazy Rit Crafter, just E. People on console over here like handcrafting each thing. What do I need for light armor? Oh, I need armor, and it needs to be this. And it's like, bro, what?
Never done a Rit in my life.
You should.
Yeah, you don't have to because I fund your damn fucking armor.
You used to fund our potions, not since I switched to old pots, though, bro. It's had to work.
No, they're too expensive. No way.
I am not Rooster. I am not funding that. We'll see, because I've spent a lot of my gold, but I've also saved a lot. But I still want the RAM from the event. I'll probably.
Oh yeah, there's an event.
Yeah, there is New Life Festival.
I might buy us a bunch of ultipots, but there's so many DKs, dude. Oh,
gotta put the Santa hat on all my tunes.
All right, but let's start not narrowing them, but let's start focusing on this area of console, because you guys are formerly or currently console players. Man, I don't even know where to start with console. I guess we can start with the lack of information or the gap in knowledge.
Oh yeah.
What would help besides ESO logs? I mean,
logs is a huge thing, and a lot of people look at logs. Like, there's a lot of people that come up to me and ask questions. Like, at least every single week, I get a DM of console people asking me, "Hey, what should I run here? What sets? What skills? What's like working the best?" And I will sometimes send people logs because a lot of console people know how to read them, but a lot of them don't want to put the time in to learn how to read them. I know when I first transferred over, reading logs looked like hieroglyphics, and I was like, what the f does this even mean? And so putting that time in can be a lot harder, especially when you can't look at these every day and look at your own logs, so you can only look at other people's, and it's not as rewarding. But even if the people that don't look at them, they'll ask you, be like, yo, just tell me what's good to run. Like, I don't have to go look at myself, just tell me what's good to run. It's like, all right, here you go. Run this, do that kind of thing. But a lot of people, or I say, maybe not a lot, but a chunk of people also aren't open-minded to or receptive to the information that people that can read logs will give. And so I'd be like, well, I want to run this instead. And I'd be like, oh, I want to run, I'm trying to think of an example. I was talking to people in Unify, one of the in-game console discords, and just telling them like what to run here, and they were just calling me stupid and be like, you should run this instead. And I'm like,
you think part of that stubbornness is because they don't want to, like, I feel like there's like this complex with console players where they don't view PC players as ESO players, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, like, definitely.
Like, you have this pride, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
of not accepting things from PC, or like, you know, I see these comments all the time on the YouTube videos. You know, whether it's about world records on PC, whether it's about add-ons on PC. I don't even have to be talking about add-ons, by the way, on PC for someone to mention a PC cheating with add-ons.
What I will say, though, to be fair about that, is most of the people who comment that stuff on the YouTube videos aren't like the console endgame raiders. They're people who think they're endgame raiders, if that makes sense.
Toxic casuals, yeah, basically, yeah.
They got a Griffin heart and they think they're in-game.
Right.
Well, but
even if they got a VCR3 clear and think they're in-game.
Right.
Well, but for console, isn't that endgame, basically? Because I remember when PC was like that. You know what I mean? We didn't have logs. We didn't have certain add-ons. We also didn't have how should I say this? The same fever we had for war records as we do now. So the only way we could measure our growth and our progression and our achievements was literal achievements. So things like, VMAW armor clear, a skin, VMAW skin. I've noticed that on console is a lot more prevalent to be more accepted as an endgame raider or accomplished raider if you have a skin. They're all about skins, I've noticed. Skin, or trifecta, right?
Mhm.
Not about score, really. Just...
Pups would have to answer this one, but the last time I played console, or the last time I even looked at it, like pugging VCR3 was still a hard thing to do, and clear it and stuff like that. I know selling VCR3 as a carry was really, really hard and took.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the last time we sold one, it took us a little bit, like almost an hour just to sell it. It was bad. And then here you come to PC and we're pugging one portal gallonway skips and. It's totally different. I don't know how. Have you pugged anything like VCR wise on console?
Oh yeah, like we could get into a huge topic about why console endgame is growing so rapidly, but
is it growing rapidly?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's accelerating faster than I've ever seen it. But one of the biggest detriments to that growth has always been people believing that console endgame ends at skins or trifectas and then thinking, well, there's nothing else for me to do here, so I'm going to go to PC. And so you have this constant influx of players who leave console because they've done everything, and then they go to PC because console endgame isn't, like, quote-unquote legitimized. And I think it's a really cool thing recently that, like, console records were added into ESOU because it's a big step in helping legitimize that and keep players on console and grow the console endgame community so that we get as big as PC and eventually start doing similar things. But like nowadays, Defy, people pug IR and Griffin Heart all the time. There's even teams who pug DB sometimes. I pugged TTT on console a year ago. So
you it's teams that pug.
Guilds, I guess, is a better word. I don't know.
Well, I think Defy is like saying pugging as in like people who don't have clears or like people you don't know. So is that the same case for Xbox?
People, maybe not people who don't have clears, but people who don't typically play together, I guess.
Okay, fair.
I'd say
I still say that's kind of bugging. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Like if it's not a core team, you don't have like set positions, set times. If you're just like randomly like, hey, like for example, in ESO runs, like I put up a roster, say for 11 tonight, 11 to 1, pug Godslayer. I'm gonna slot who I think is gonna be the best for it. Some people that I slot aren't going to have Godslayer, and some are going to have multiple Godslayers.
Right.
But it's like none of these people I've ever like either been on a core team with or anything like that.
So, like for example, the TTT that was that I pugged a little bit ago, I hadn't tanked it yet, so I tanked that pug, and then there were like two guys who I guess had almost gotten it multiple times but didn't have it. So there were people who didn't have the trifecta. There were people on different roles, and it was a team that hadn't run halls together at all. So I mean, I think I'd consider that a bug.
You made an interesting comment earlier. You say endgame is growing on Xbox? In what
Absolutely.
way? Because from my perspective, it seems like it's either gonna be like stagnant or declining, because it seems like more and more Xbox players are transferring to PC, and that's always kind of been the case. And also, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not immersed in it enough to know, but that's what I assume. So how do you deal with that?
Typically that's been the case, and kind of the last major shift that I feel like we saw that recently was when the new gen consoles came out, because it was either people deciding like, I'm going to buy a new rig, am I going to spend the extra money on a decent PC, or am I just going to get the new Xbox? It was people thinking that like the Series X is kind of too good to be true type of situation. But like, and I get memed for this so much on PC, but the Series X is one of the biggest steps that console has seen to keeping a legitimate endgame. Because I mean, first of all, the FPS change was a massive quality of life improvement.
I agree. You know, I tried playing ESO for the first time on Xbox Series S, which is more comparable to the previous generation in terms of the hardware. And then when I switched this X, when I got it, it was insane.
Yeah,
the furnishings in someone's house wasn't blacked out anymore. FPS was actually smooth. People in stream when I was streaming Xbox, or they thought I was fucking memeing when I said, "Dude, the FPS feels like fucking PC."
Yeah,
but it's not. I'm not memeing.
No, totally. I get memed for that all the time, especially when I'm streaming. Like, I don't have a bad rig. Like, I spent a good amount on PC. It's nothing crazy, but whenever I'm streaming, especially in playing ESO, like before the I forget what it's called, that new graphics thing that they just came out with that made frames better on PC.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, I was getting like I was getting worse frames on my PC than I was on my Series X. Like, I was consistently pulling probably 50 to 60 on my Series X and getting 30 to 40 on PC. Like, nobody believed me, and that load times were quicker on my Series X than they were on PC. And honestly, that's still true to some extent. Like, the load screen difference was insane. And I mean, they seem like basic things, but like, a lot of the reason people switch to PC is for better quality of life in general, and that's a huge part of it, right? So now in my head, the only reason to switch to PC is add-ons. And there are a lot of add-ons that are great and a lot of great quality of life improvements, and being able to, I think any console player that can, at least if nothing else, hop on the PTS should, because you'll learn so much about yourself as a player and how you can grow and be better. I think that's essential even for console players if they have the ability to do it. But there's no reason to grind a whole new account and switch because, I mean, kind of that stubbornness, like you said, add-ons aren't really, but most of them aren't really necessary. It'd be nice to have some of the competitive ones, but
a decent amount of people also switch to escape the toxicity of console in game.
Okay.
That's mostly true to Xbox NA, though. I feel like more than a lot of other servers.
I mean, even talking with Natsu, who came from PS4, he would even tell me about how toxic like PS4 NA was. I don't know about EU.
Yeah.
But I know that if both obviously like were to change a mindset, which would require a lot of like in-game people, it would keep a lot of people and would maybe bring people back.
Mm-hmm.
I know like just the mentality of PC compared to Xbox is totally different. It's a lot more helpful on PC. Like, people are willing to help a lot more and to like share advice and stuff like that. Whereas like console, you pretty much have pups. That's about it. As far as I've seen, like that share stuff for console directly.
It's getting better. It's been a while, but it's getting better.
Okay. Stepping back a little bit. Oh god, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was gonna touch on that topic you brought up, Puppies, about the add-ons. You know, all the console players I've talked to who've transferred to PC over the years since 2015. Every single one of them has told me the biggest thing for them was the FPS.
Yeah.
It wasn't the add-ons, it was the FPS, and people don't believe me. The console players on console don't believe me when I say that because, oh, you're fucking lying. Those players didn't say that. It's the add-ons, but it's the FPS, man. And I felt that.
Sorry.
Also, there's some feedback.
Oh yeah. Let me just say, as a console player who's played on PC, like I have every trifecta except for Planesbreaker and TTT on PC. Same situation. I have every trifecta on console except for PB. So, I mean, I guess let me say this as somebody who's a relatively somewhat experienced end gamer. For the record, for console players, that like the add-ons that you think matter do not matter. You have like the wrong idea of what add-ons matter and make a difference. So the add-ons that you see called like Raid Notifier, where they'll pop up with messages saying block now or roll dodge this. Like, the only time I've legitimately ever used one of those add-ons in a raid situation is roll dodging the taking aims on the first boss in Hoth. Otherwise, like, I just look at all the cues that I normally do. Like, I might even have the add-on pop up on my screen, and I'm not looking at the add-on. I'm looking at what I normally look at. And even for PC players who use that, it's just a different sort of UI. Like, you still have to be a good enough player to keep up a rotation and be light attack weaving and just look at something that's a little different, which is words and reading. And quite frankly, reading is harder than looking at boss animations to me. So I'd rather look at the boss animation. So, I mean, it's literal preference. The add-ons that matter, the add-ons that console players should be complaining about are logs first and foremost. That is the number one thing that console needs. Maybe a better action duration would be cool. But the other big one is alpha gear. They almost did it, man. They almost did it with the Armory System. And they've proven that they now have a way to do it through the Armory System on console. And that's the next big thing that we need. Because that goes back to a whole earlier conversation that Defy was talking about, where people ask him, like, well, what do I run? And they're not looking for situational setups because dealing with spells on console is a completely different challenge. They just want to one and done. This is my bar setup. This is my gear setup. This is what I run for the trial. Let me be a slapper. And you can't be a slapper unless you know all the ins and outs about what you could do in different situations and then how to optimize that for console, right? Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, those are the add-ons that make a difference. All the other ones that console players complain about is just a lack of understanding about what these add-ons actually do.
Yeah. It's crazy. People think it's like against from servers and shit. or that they should get rid of add-ons. But they don't know that the game came to PC first, or was meant for PC first.
Thing about like swapping gear and whatnot. There's a reason that there's world records and there's console records, and I don't think anybody on PC goes, "Oh yeah, my world record is better than your console record." Like
to some extent,
I don't know. Even like for myself, like pushing with with Berserk, like looking at people on console, I don't think I'm better than them because my VMAL record was better than theirs. Like we obviously have different stuff that we can use that console can't. I give kudos to anybody on the console that can get the console record, because it takes a different set of skills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Like you have to be good at changing gear manually.
It's a skill you actually have to practice.
Yeah. Like knowing who's doing what. Like it's totally different. Like ulti calls are totally different, whereas like us on PC, we have a percentage over here. Like, all right, we got this prints up. But when you run with a team, it gets down to a science of like, hey, I know this person can drop here, but it's a lot nicer having Hodor to help you with.
Oh, dude. I led my first raid on PC the other day, just in ESO run, and I have Horn and Colossus timers with the icons under our buff bars and boss's debuff bars on console. So like typically what you'll do is you'll write out a whole ultimate rotation for the trial. Like I have spreadsheets of our Dawnbringer ult rotation and Godslayer ult rotation. And just having those there was like the biggest, the most convenient thing. But yeah, I mean, Defy's right to an extent on a lot of things. I think that console players could argue that they want to keep their individuality in that sense by avoiding add-ons like Alpha Gear and stuff like that. And I'm completely okay with that, but I will stand firm in saying that the one add-on that console does need, without a shadow of a doubt, is logs.
Well, it's not an add-on, it's an in-game feature.
Right, exactly. It's built into the game. It's just a UI.
Right. It's just not on console for some reason.
Right.
Even though it's on PC.
Or even Ce-Nex.
Well,
yep.
Logs, yeah, I mean, would kind of be your Ce-Nex, right?
Yeah.
Ce-Nex should just be a lot more personal, but you can still see like how much PA you're getting, how much EC you're outputting, your stagger up times on ohms, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's just logs is just a lot easier to see everybody's and go from one to the other. Whereas like
that's true.
Ce-Nex, you'd have to like take a screenshot and then share it. But that's why people on console, most teams like have them record different boss fights to see how much they're doing. But I don't know. I don't know how to read from those buff trackers. Like for example, like a tanking aspect. I know as a DPS aspect, you could see what kind of buffs you're getting from other people. With the I think it's in the bottom where you have like your buff tracker.
Yeah. But
it's wildly confusing because it's like it's all your buffs. You can't just single out like, hey, I want to see PA, I want to see this, I want to see this. It's like every single thing.
Kind of. So the way that I went about doing it on my teams is I had everybody set up their Xbox Twitch, and they'll stream the raid days that I asked them to. And then they each have their own individual channels where they'll submit that stream, and I'll go through and I'll look at everybody's best pulls. And for DPS, I'll just correct them on things like rotation and weaving, and simple things like that typically. But for support, it's a little trickier. I've actually been working with one of our healers who's improved dramatically, because I went through and I looked at his Yondir, and I tracked each of the buffs that he was responsible keeping up just individually on himself, because it'll pop up for him and not necessarily for everybody else. So I told him, for example, like, dude, your combat prayer uptime was like 30 or 40%, bro. And that was just on use. So it's like significantly worse for everybody else. Like, this is something that you need to work on. And he has. And it's improved dramatically. It's up to like, and you'll just like look at the timer. You'll look at the fight time. Right. You'll look at the fight time, and then this is, you'll look at the timer, the fight time, and then you'll just track, okay, how many seconds was this timer not above his bar, and do a little bit of math. And that's how I give him percentages of what his uptimes were, which is kind of ridiculous. But like, if you take the time to do that, and even just do it on yourself on console, you'll learn so much. And he's improved so much since then. It's crazy.
The biggest thing is also making sure, which I know a lot of support don't do, even tanks, is light attacking. Like even tanks can light attack. Even healers can light attack. And that makes up for a lot of buffs. As well as, like, for example, if you have a Berserker front bar, that'll increase your healing output. That'll increase any damage you have down. Anything like that. And for like tanks, it could be Crusher, it could be Brittle, it could be anything like that. And a lot of people don't realize that, hey, light attacking is huge. It doesn't have to be a DPS thing. It can be a support thing too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the very new team that I have that's working on VMAW hard mode right now, support wasn't getting their ults back in time because they weren't light attacking enough to regen their ult. It's kind of a wild concept that gets missed on support on console all the time.
Let's go back a bit again, because there's so many topics we can talk about. You guys, okay, so let me tell you something. When I told people, hey, you know, I'm gonna try out ESO on both consoles, people from Xbox told me, no, don't go to Xbox, or don't come to Xbox, because it's toxic. And I'm now I got a PS5 on the way, and I'm telling people about it, and PlayStation transfers are telling me, no, don't go to PlayStation, it's too toxic.
That
right?
goes off what I said earlier. Like, a lot of people that came to PC came to escape the toxicity of Xbox.
Well, like
there's still good people over there, but it can also be true that the rotten apple spoils the bunch. Like, if you, I mean, shit, when we were pushing with Berserk, I was still getting hit offline on PC.
Oh yeah, someone was DDoSing you. You want to do a fucking VPN? You wasted fucking 3 hours of our time. You fuck.
I got a VPN. What do you mean?
It's like you got a free VPN. Oh, shit. But anyway,
it's stuff like that. Like, a lot of people were gatekeeping. For example, Godslayer. That was a huge thing.
Yeah.
I don't know about it anymore, but like, it's little stuff like that is just so childish. Like, if you want to meme, like, call people out, meme them, but it's one where it's like, when you're gonna literally hit somebody offline so they can't get an achievement that you got, that you're jealous that they're gonna get too, like, bruh, grow up.
The first Godslayer that I got, I was streaming it, and then I had to go off because we were getting hit, and so I told everyone that I was ending the stream, and we continued raiding, and then got it, which sucked because it was 8 months of people watching that wanted to see it, but like, is what it is, you know?
How does that work? Or like, how does that work?
They get your IP, and then they send packets to hit your, I think it's like a router remote or something like that. Yeah. And basically your internet just goes and dies.
Well, there's a whole website called X Resolver, which is like, if you're ever in an Xbox party with somebody, they can get your IP, and then they can post it on this website for everybody else to get your IP.
Jesus, okay.
Yeah. It's gotten, from what I can see so far, it's gotten better. And the way to make that better is to make things like trifectas less relevant, right? So, I mean, you can gatekeep a trifecta all you want and keep people from doing it because it's a big deal. Like, at the time, Godslayer was such a big deal. There were only like 4 or 5 teams on console who had done it and whatever. But it's not, right? At the end of the day, like, we need to get console to a point where they're trying to push for more than just trifectas, and growing the in-game community, I think, also helps solve those types of issues as well.
Okay, but yeah, going back to the whole thing about consoles being toxic, honestly, like, I don't know, man. Like, how do you define toxic? Besides the gatekeeping, you've mentioned the DDoSing.
Just
because I see a lot of myself and what PC used to be like in what I see in console back then. You know what I mean? Like,
from I guess I'll get my viewpoint and touch you of his, because you probably see it a little bit differently. The biggest thing is, like, of course, there's obviously going to be shit talking and stuff like that, but it's the criticism without helping people at all is the biggest thing, or not allowing people to run with you, even though they're capable of doing it.
But why? You think why are people toxic? Like, Is it the age
I
demographic,
think-
you think?
It's an ego thing.
Ego
Yeah,
thing.
it's
I mean,
definitely an ego.
everyone has an ego.
thing. Yes, but for console, the ego is titles. Now it's
Right.
actually, I know I've noticed a lot of people pushing a lot more scores.
Mhm.
So scores is somewhat become more of an ego thing, but titles is, and I think will always be a huge thing because not as many people push those scores. Whereas like PC, when you see somebody with Godslayer, they bought it or
Or their add-ons carried them, right?
yeah, or add-ons carry them. Which, I mean, there's obviously a lot of really, really good players with Godslayer, and there's players that either bought it or got carried to it, because you can get carried to Godslayer. It's mostly a support.
Well, what do you mean by carry?
Actually, bro, I don't know.
I mean, you can get carried, but
This
like, I guess you
very
can. Yeah,
hard.
sure.
We sold multiple Godslayers this patch that were 25 minutes that were just barrier blasting the whole thing.
Okay.
Like this
Yeah.
patch is, and I would even say on console, like you can you can do DKs with the same setup the entire trial and easily make the time.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
DK, yeah, especially since they have so much AOE utility this patch, it's really helpful for console trash pulls not being able to switch setups. It's nuts.
So
I guess from my perspective, there are plenty of people who would consider me to be toxic, especially when I raid lead. Sometimes I can get a little loud.
no, it's
But
Whoa, I
think,
don't know if that's toxic. When
Right.
I think toxic, I think like sexual harassment, stalking,
Sure.
doxing,
both of those do have.
death threats. I think passing around nudes of somebody, shit like that.
I think that's illegal more than toxic.
Well, no. Well, this is all toxic behavior.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the. I'm not talking about
I know what you mean,
the.
though.
Yeah, I'm not talking about the fucking fluffy definition of toxic. These fucking casuals that always say, "Oh my god, you want the Templar healer? That's toxic." No, I'm talking about actual toxicity.
The actual toxicity, I guess, in my head is when, I guess, kind of like Defy said, when you put somebody down with the intention of putting them down, like for your own ego. Like to me, that's toxicity.
Okay.
So like the difference between, I guess, when a raid lead gets angry and even calls someone a dumbass in a raid situation, right? With, in my head, the intention from that person is that they're still going to help this player like figure it out, even though they're being an idiot, right? But like on console, I don't know. You just have all these people and like all of these discords just like shit posting people just to try to ruin their name so that like people don't want to pick them up for runs, or so that people like.
Yeah, that's kind of what PC used to be like.
Yeah,
So I see a little bit of that in them,
I mean,
which
there
makes me
is
sympathize.
still some on PC too, of like people that, for example, when OMP was still popping, I took a person through to get their first VAS clear, and they had on SPC RO, and they died more than everyone else combined as the group healer, and they like it. It's one of those things where like we told them what to run, and they completely ignored it and ran whatever I don't even know what the fuck that setup was. It's stuff like that compared to, it's like we tell you what to run, like, hey, try this next time, do this instead, like this is how, like, obviously why it works, and then they completely ignore it, and then you don't roster them anymore. Like, that's not being toxic. Being toxic, be like, hey, you're a dumbass for running SPCRO, fucking kill yourself, get out of here, like you're never gonna get rostered again. Like that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, like there's a healer I won't mention on console that got, I guess, memed, we'll call it, for a year because their first Godslayer prog, they ran double restos. And that was like when Godslayer was still not widely available on console. And like people just think that now this person's just complete, shit at the game, even though it's something that happened a year and a half ago. And is off doing their own thing now, good for them. But like that's just the kind of stuff that's, I don't know.
Okay. Well, like I said, like it's on. Like, do you think it's getting better? You said.
I do.
In what
and
way?
I think the more that, and maybe you kind of nailed it. It's how PvF proven now that the more a community grows, obviously the more people that are in it, and in my head, the more good people that enter into the community and hopefully try to also help build that community. And the less things like trifectas become relevant, and the more people that have them, the less people have to ego blast and shitpost people for it. So, I mean, it's kind of my thought, but...
A lot of the thing, too, is the higher your ego gets, the less you play with other people, and the less you play with other people, the less chance of you have of being toxic to them.
Facts.
And so the people that keep their ego to a minimum, that are willing to help other people and stuff like that, will continue to help. So...
I'm just going to turn this off. Sorry, bro.
Your DoorDash has arrived.
Your DoorDash has arrived. Your Uber. Your Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Uber Eats.
Okay. How are you solving it, though? You just doing more trifecta runs, basically?
Well, it's something that, like, I feel like people just kind of have to build their own thing, you know? Like, I know that I have a close-knit group of, like, 40 or 50 people on those 3 teams that just kind of exist for the most part in our own bubble, but like we're also in guilds like Unify, and we do runs with other people and try to help them learn and get their clears. Like I say, to be a true endgamer on console, you can't just do stuff. Like to be an endgamer on console, you also have to actively give back to the console community. So like if you want to call yourself an endgame player, that's fine, but then you need to do things actively to help other people grow in that community too, right? Which is why I started those 2 other teams to try to help people, you know, introduce more people into this content.
I completely agree with what you said there about giving back to the community. I think that's also the same thing on PC, because I think we had the similar issues as console did back then on a wide scale as well, where you know we were toxic, but then at a certain point it doesn't really matter how good you are at the game if no one wants to play with you.
Thanks.
You can't sustain a community, and if you don't have a community, you don't really have a voice, which is really important as far as ESO goes. So
I've also I guess speaking of egos, let me blast mine for a second.
Okay.
I'm just playing. One of the things that I've been doing recently, I saw you in the Discord, but in ESO runs, it's been like one of the biggest explosions.
Man, everyone talking about ESO runs recently. Yesterday we pulled on ESO runs.
It's huge. It blew up.
What is it, 2,000 players there?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before until recently. Like very recently.
Maybe your ego was just too high there, Nephis.
No, I think I've just been out of touch. I've been out of touch.
Basically, the way that this Discord started was to get people clears and stuff like that, and so it went from a bunch of really, really shit people to it just got filled in with a lot of like upper tier players, I guess you'd say it. But I recently started in there, like I made a bunch of videos on how to for example, do Cloud Rest better to the point of getting like Griffin Heart. And so I shared some of like Puppies' point of views doing solo portals to tanks, what to run down there, what to use, healers, what to prioritize, what to do. Like, for example, a lot of people don't understand, like when you're going to go get a shard, to send a shard down, for example, you're turned around, so most of your heals you should have already down, but you can spam radiating regen like while you run, and that'll hit most of the people. So you're not just like doing nothing while you run. And so a lot of people that would help both console and PC just to realize like, hey, these are some things I need to do, like prioritize. But recently I've started a thing called Godslayer in Training, which is I take a bunch of people that have at least VSS hard mode as their requirement, but like teach them different speed strats so that eventually they can get Godslayer. Because I feel like Godslayer is one of my favorite in-game achievement, because
God, why?
It's a fun trial, dude.
It's so a dog shit trial with a dog shit achievement with a fucking dog shit game design. Fucking dog shit.
I know you don't like it.
Dog shit turns into dog water.
I absolutely love it. I think the title sounds cool as shit because you're like a god slayer, but also the mount.
Dog shit
like,
slayer.
I wish they didn't fuck the PB mount, because I'm gonna be real with you. That thing has like no animations
PB
on
mount.
it. They could have made that so cool.
Yo, everyone keeps saying that. I
looks
guess,
like
yeah.
A lizard.
I like the Godslayer mount more than the PB mount.
Yeah,
because of the effects, right? Because of the glitter or whatever shit.
There's like fire.
I just think it looks clean, bro. I don't know.
It's so good. And
Yeah,
like they're like, here, we're gonna make this harder achievement, and we're gonna give you a fucking lizard with no effects, different color. That's it. Oh, and some spikes.
Oh, and you get to be a plains breaker.
I mean, it does look pretty. It does look pretty unique, though.
Original titles, I would have never gone that. Stone Talker, who wants to walk around like? Yeah,
oh yeah,
I talk to
dude.
Stone.
The original. What were the original titles for
Look at my
PB?
pet
Was like
rock. I can talk to him.
Hey,
Stone Talker
don't
and
talk about
something
words like
else.
that.
Soulzon Warrior or some shit. I don't fucking know, dude.
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
It was awful titles. And everyone was. That's why they changed it.
Wait, Stone Kissed.
Yeah, Stone Kiss. Yeah.
Like, who's right? Just yes, a rock. Oh yes, another pebble. Like, who the fuck wants to be Stone Kissed? Like, at least you're breaking a plane. That sounds kind of cool.
No, we're not talking about how the
Planesbreaker is
rock
nice.
mechanics are garbage. We're just talking about how the
I don't know. Anyway,
No,
Godslayer is dog shit. But anyway, we were talking about like giving back to the community, and ESO runs has brought up. Man, I need to get this motherfucker in here because I don't know the guy.
Benzar?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, he's a super cool dude.
Okay, yeah. One day I'll talk to him.
He's a fellow gym rat.
Gym
Yeah.
rat.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm about to become gym rat on Monday.
Gym inspirations.
I'm about to become gym rat on Monday. Defy. I'm gonna. What
yeah?
the kids say? What the kids say these days? I'm about to get swole.
Get the gains, brother. Fuck
Puppies, fuck you. Why are you laughing so hard? But anyway.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, I guess giving back to the community.
You're gonna get ripped. We're gonna have to call you Papa Nephis.
Papa Nephis, dude. But, yeah, going back to giving back to the community. Yeah, I totally agree with Puppies on that one. I think in-game players, it just doesn't matter how good you are at a certain point. I think at one point you just need to give back to the community, not in that form. Like, there's almost an obligation in some sense.
Oh yeah.
To a degree. I'm not saying everyone should do it. I'm just saying, like, it's just, I don't know. Like, because it feeds your behavior as a player and as a raider. Because you get tired of the game real quick if you don't raid with people you don't enjoy raiding with, or, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, there's
Another
it's not fun.
huge thing too, though. For example, is like I've recently become like a staff member in OMC, and like have taken up, for example, leading Godslayer carries. And so I've done a few of those now, but it's one where a lot of the old people that would sell those, they quit. And so now it's like trying to bring in more people that are newer, that I trust and stuff like that. But in order to like sell those, I need people that are like really consistent, really good at their set roles. And so part of the reason why I'm doing like these Pug Godslayers, these Godslayers and trainings, is because I see these players that are really good, that can be at the level where they sell carries. I don't have to like try to recruit people that haven't played the game in months and they come in and throw.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I remember, like, I think the old way is dying, where the top teams cannibalizing the lower teams. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean, right?
Oh, yeah.
When you need to find the fill, when you need to find the replacement, you go look at the guilds below you that aren't quite there yet, but maybe there's a talent in there, and you swipe them up, and then that team has to suffer in finding. It just goes on and on and on and on.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's no longer sustainable, to a degree. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
I think we definitely need to change that.
I mean, I'm a huge person for attitude. Like, if you have a good attitude and you're willing to learn and stuff like that, like I will go the extra mile to read your logs to help you get what you need to like become an in-game player. Because the more people with good attitudes and in-game that we have, the more that we can keep giving back. And it's kind of like that. Oh, what is that saying? The pay it forward, I think it is. That's the one where you help one person and then they help somebody. But if I do that to enough people,
Pay it forward.
and if pay it forward. There you go. If you do that to enough people, that should sustain the end game for a very long time. And it's one where I'm super addicted to, especially PC ESO at the moment, and super addicted to helping people get. At the moment, Godslayer is my thing. Like, I'm trying to pug it and help people that don't even have it, or for example, that work and they can't like commit to core teams. Like, there's 4 people that I know that I want to help get them that achievement. And so if I can do that, and even if just one of them takes that and can give it to other people, I think that's one of the keys to helping ESO stay not dead. I don't know what would be this. Keep it alive, I guess. And I wish there were more people. I mean, maybe Pups can attest to this, but I wish there were more people like that on console. Like, it can't just be Pups running this show.
Well, what's stopping those people?
What's stopping those people?
Yeah. People still stuck in the old ways.
there are a lot of guys out there who are doing a lot of great things right now. Similar to some of the things that I'm doing. So I mean, it's got more inclusive, I feel like, since you've left Defy. But I think to encourage that to grow more would be for, I don't know, at some point, like I think like you said, Nephis, it's just got to kind of grow out of what's happening now. And when these teams start succeeding, like I know a lot of great guys out there, like Xylo is one of them. Their team's doing some great stuff. And he's a great guy, great player, has a heart for other people. Like when teams like these start achieving some of the things that some of the more people who are toxic because they've done a little bit more, the more people do that, the more these toxic guys become a little bit less relevant, and the more kind of all of the, I guess, good guys group together and start their own endgame unifier or whatever it is on other console guilds. And you have now a group of people who are all dedicated to the same goal rather than just individual teams. So all these little individual teams are popping up, but once they achieve stuff and we all kind of start getting together, I think that we're going to continue to see progress.
Okay, fair enough. And because I see a lot of potential on Xbox. I felt it when I was there. There are a lot of people trying to raid. Most of the people absolutely. I met or I talked to through that Xbox thing or Messenger, whatever it's called, they would whatever.
Xbox Messenger.
Yeah, whatever.
It's just DMs, brother.
Okay. Anyway, a lot of the people I've talked to.
Xbox. You said, "Yo, I got him with the Xbox Verizon app." Like what?
Yeah, I mean, they want to raid, and they're not raiders, by the way. They're not raiders. They want to raid, but they're just, I guess, intimidated.
Oh, that's huge. Now that you bring that up, on that the newest team, the VMA hard mode team, there are so many people. I asked them for 90K parses on the 21 mil recently, right? And that's kind of a big ask. But like I'm working with them constantly to hit these numbers. But them like, guys, come to me early before you get stressed out or before you hit a wall in your parse so that we can work with you. And of course nobody did, because they're all intimidated as hell. Like they're all like, I've been working on this for a week. I'm so stressed. I'm so exhausted. I don't know what to do. And I'm like, dude, come to me before that. That's what we're here for. You know, like everyone is so intimidated by these players that they view as so much better that they think that like console players are just going to look down. And some of them will. Some of the elite players will look down on other people and be like, no, you're just stupid. But that's what needs to change, right? Like, is more people are like, I'm not gonna judge you. I remember when I was hitting whatever you were hitting on the dummy. Like, we all started somewhere. That's literally what we're here for. So let's get it done, type of thing, you know?
Yeah, man. Personally, I've never understood those attitudes where you look down on people,
right?
Because of what? I don't know, man. It's so weird,
right?
You know, it's just really weird. Because they were probably shit too, you know what I mean?
Everyone was at some point.
Yeah, everyone was.
It's a complicated game. It takes a while.
Remember when parsing on the dummy actually meant something? I know it means a lot more for console because it's a lot harder to measure.
Right, that's why I was talking about the skins and the titles, right? Whatever. That's a metric. And now it's dummy parses too, because you guys don't have logs.
And raid parses.
Right. So you don't know. So you have to measure it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the same case for PC. So, you know.
For sure.
Now the only disconnector thing missing for that console is what you said, you know, logs. Or some sort of tool to measure your buffs, debuffs, DPS.
Yeah. And that's kind of another great point. I think a lot of console transfers, I know myself, when I expected to switch to PC, a lot of the fear is, well, like, if I get exposed with my logs, then, like, I'm just going to be the laughing stock of the entire PC community. But in reality...
the amount of drama that starts within the transfer diaspora of Xbox or PlayStation players after they moved to PC, it was fucking insane. Or I guess it's not insane anymore, but it was fucking insane. The drama, it was insane.
Yeah.
These people get exposed or expose themselves or something like, and this goes back to add-ons too. By the way, good players will be good players no matter the platform or server.
Yep.
Yes, but also people when they transfer over, everybody always has some sort of problem that they don't realize that they have. Like for example, when I transferred over, I didn't realize how dog shit my channel uptime was. My minor force. So that was one thing that I had to focus on doing when I first transferred over.
I didn't know what a weave average was. No, I mean seriously, like that's not something that you think about.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Anything in your rotation, not light attacking as fast as you can. So I mean, like
true.
I wasn't, like light attacking at a 2.0 or whatever. But I mean, like I realized that was something. Sure.
Yeah, I get it.
And kind of on that note too, I think one of the things that I experienced personally on PC, I think because things like logs exist, players have more of a realistic understanding of their actual skill level. And on PC, they see, okay, this is where I'm at. This is what I need to improve. Console players, especially ones that switch, get exposed and go back, are the ones who have the ego issue, who think they're a lot better than they are, who switch and then are like, oh, I'm not this like perfect player that I thought I was. Let me just skedaddle out of here real quick. And I think that if we had logs on console, then those types of toxic egos from especially people that it's unwarranted, I think that having logs to establish that would be very helpful. Because you find too that typically it's the players who are willing to help other people that understand that they also always have something that they can improve on themselves. And when you understand that there's always something that you can improve on, like even a weave average, for example, right? Like it's practically impossible to get a perfect weave, but it's not totally impossible, right? Like it can be done. It's just extremely difficult. And until you hit that mark as a player, then like you always have something to improve regardless of who you are, right?
Yeah.
And I think that the upper tier players kind of have that mentality, and when those players are shown for who they are versus the people who have unwarranted toxic egos, I think that situation gets fixed a lot quicker as well.
Oh man, before I experienced Xbox, I'm gonna say this because I've been wanting to say it at least to Defy, or not to Defy, but in front of Defy, because I'm kind of curious what you guys would say. All right, so before I experienced Xbox, or before I even tried like playing ESO and experiencing the community over there, I didn't really have much contact with console community. None of us really did. I think back then we didn't really have contact with each other because it was different. It was really different back on PC before you guys came over. We were all isolated. Every one of us were isolated. The teams were isolated. We barely interacted with people from outside of our teams, especially when there's one Tamriel, where it was faction based. We didn't interact with anyone outside of our TeamSpeak because Discord wasn't a thing back then. We didn't interact with anyone from EU. So, and I never met a console player. I only met console transfers. And the experience of having the console transfers, I just yeah, okay. I have to summarize. I'm gonna summarize my experience with console transfers. Okay, I don't trust PlayStation PvPers, but I trust the PlayStation PvEers. I've had really good experiences with PlayStation PvEers.
Okay. Sure.
I trust Xbox PvPers. I don't trust Xbox PvEers. From my experience with console transfers, because man, PlayStation PvEers in general were like so chill. The Xbox PvEers, man, they would just goddamn.
Brother, you realize there were like 6 Xbox transfers on Berserk, right? Like half the fucking.
And how many of them stayed? Well, hold on, how many of them stayed? You left.
Yeah, well, the Defy left.
Yeah, you left.
Tornado left.
Yeah.
Vezel's left.
Yeah.
Ezio left.
Ezio's PlayStation.
Was he?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Oshawa, I think he was also PlayStation. Yeah, pretty sure he was PlayStation. Didn't Kodiak and Kitty come from console?
No, Kitty came from console. I don't know which one.
She came from Xbox.
I don't know if it was Xbox.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm just saying in general, mathematically speaking. That's what my experience in console transfers. That's been my experience, dude. I
actually had a buddy of mine who transferred from PlayStation to Xbox. So he has kind of a unique view. He's played on both console platforms, on NA at least, and he said that the PlayStation community was, at least at the time, this was like 3 years ago, significantly more toxic than like Xbox. And that can kind of be viewed, like you said, though. You'd queue into like a random dungeon, he would say, and if they would ask you what gear you have, and if you didn't have like the meta gear sets, then they would kick you from the queue type of thing.
That's fucked up.
It's kind of fucked up, but I think that also kind of speaks though to the kind of level that PvEers on PlayStation maybe push themselves to, because that's definitely not quite as true on Xbox. Xbox is, even in console records, Xbox has more of the earlier trials, which is cool, but PlayStation's dominating the more difficult content.
So in your opinion, you think PlayStation's better than Xbox?
I didn't say that. I think Xbox has a ton of potential. I can't speak to that of PlayStation, but also to the teams that Xbox has looked up to as their best end game team has been very, very poor examples. Not necessarily in terms of skill, but just in terms of kind of that like they're a group of people who are all they disbanded, but they were a group of people who are all phenomenal players individually, but could not work together as a team, to my understanding, because of ego issues, right? Everyone thought they knew everything and couldn't work together. So like, what are you going to accomplish? Nothing. It doesn't matter how good you are. Like you said, if you can't work with other people and work as a team, it means absolutely nothing. And that's the example that Xbox has had. And part of the reason that I think that our community's kind of taken the shift it has. I think when people have started to realize that, though, which has, again, been kind of another recent development, people are finally kind of starting to understand that, like, it doesn't matter how with other players who are also good to achieve things, you know?
Well, yeah. That was my generous phrase. I just want to say it. I don't know. But, Cap? What is a cap? I'm just saying, statistically speaking, I've had worse experiences with Xbox PvEers than I've had with PlayStation PvEers. I'm just saying.
I've also had worse experience with Xbox transfers.
And I think part of that, I mean, at least back then. Now it's kind of like, I don't know. You know, I think it's more chill now. But back then, there weren't that many transfers. Don't you have like a Discord server and an entire guild dedicated to console transfers now at this point for PC? At least on PCNA?
Console refugees.
Yeah, console refugee, whatever it's called. Yeah. But back then, there weren't that many console transfers, and I think part of the reason why it was so toxic, even after they moved away from that toxicity, was either they were the source of toxicity, or there was this like weird mentality, and I think there still is to a degree, where if you're from Xbox or whatever, you have to stick together no matter what, against other players, other non-console players. And that was really toxic, because what happened was, I mean, there was a guild specifically made up of Xbox players that were just completely off, like, off the rockers. So I don't know. Nowadays, I think it's a bit more chill, but I still find that mentality in a lot of console transfers still. Like, you know what I mean?
I definitely know that on PC I have a very improve myself type of mentality. It's definitely a console quality, and I think that it's something that even as somebody who's played on PC constantly, I don't like getting outparsed, but also I'm learning how to DPS on a new platform with new setups and new situations, and I think that type of ego is hard to break. But I also think it's necessary for people to take that step, you know? Like, it's something that we should all actively work on as console, at least Xbox NA in general.
Were you gonna say this, Holly?
No.
Nothing? You don't have anything to add? You don't have anything to apologize for? Like using add-ons?
I'm very sorry for using add-ons. My console friends who... Yeah. I'm slightly excited.
About what?
Because I'm considering getting an Xbox. To just kind of come in back and going on.
Don't get the S.
Yeah, no.
Get the X, not the S.
I'm thinking about it. We'll see. But, because I meme a lot in the console discords, and so I know a lot of them hate me. And so,
I saw that shit. Like, yeah.
He made me so hard, bro. There's.
I meme him a little too.
I mean, I participated in some of that, you know.
But at the same time, I'm also
because it was funny.
At least, well, not them, but helping a larger majority than I am memeing. Right. But the ones I'm memeing are the ones that we were talking about with the huge egos and stuff like that. And so, like,
do you remember that guy who was like talking about add-ons in that one Discord. You know where we were like memeing on them.
The EU one?
Was it you? It was somewhere.
The one that you invited me to, and like.
Oh yeah. Dude, the guy was talking about add-ons and shit. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
They were cheating and shit like that. And I was like,
I barely remember. It was funny.
I don't remember
it was
what
funny,
we
dude.
said.
And dude,
we got somebody else in there too. That was fun.
I don't know. But,
Console Player 101. Repeat after me. Add-ons are.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Welcome to the console community.
But I think, in a sense, I think the toxicity has gone down.
Hmm?
From what you were saying, because when like back to the previous thing, I said people told me no, don't go to Xbox or don't go to PlayStation. It's so toxic over there, and man, I don't think it is compared to the old toxicity we had, or at least the old toxic Xbox players I had experiences with. You know, like some Xbox players try to bait me and shit, but I'm like, this is the best you can do. Shit, I can tell you about the good old days where there were real toxic people and real toxic methods and real good bait, you know. It's a little disappointing in a way.
It's disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like console toxicity has dulled.
And I'm sad.
It's a good thing, but I'm a little disappointed because when people try to bait me, they're like, you know what I mean? It's just come on, man. Be a bit more creative.
It's the same thing I always tell. Do you know who Swego is?
Who?
Swego.
Swego. Why does this sound familiar?
Curator.
Okay.
He doesn't necessarily have an ego, but he hits hard, but he also hits the ground hard.
Okay.
And so whenever he does really dumb shit, I always just say, Swego, you can only impress me. And so that's kind of the mentality that if I do come back to console just for fun, I have to have. It's like I can meme them, but at the same time, like, this is their domain now, so they're gonna fucking DOS me.
So do you consider yourself an Xbox player at this point?
Me?
Yeah.
It's my roots.
Okay.
I never like say I'm not an Xbox player, and I still use an Xbox controller. But I would say, if anything, I'm a retired Xbox player.
Okay, fair enough.
Or yeah, it's a retired because you can still be retired and work. So yeah, retired.
But what's the point of retirement?
Not having to work 40 hours a week, or in my case, 60.
Okay.
Jeez.
Dude, I started a new job, and they really want me to make a lot of money in overtime. So,
what's a new job?
I told you. Remember, we made the joke that I work with the in-game community in ESO.
Oh,
I work with people with special needs.
Oh my god, that was terrible. But you know, it feels like that sometimes. Not gonna lie, it feels like that sometimes. You know, I'm not gonna lie.
I see people die to like Storm Trail in VSS, and it telegraphs where it's gonna go, and I see a dude roll dodge into it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure my clients could recognize that. Like, bro, come on.
Oh yeah, or like when we get to final boss in VKA and somebody who swears on Alpha Gear doesn't get and dies to a heavy. That's also.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude, I don't. Okay, with that one, I tanked 3 heavies before that.
Yeah, you have dropped like 20% each time. You didn't say.
I don't know.
Explain yourself. Oh, dude. Hey, Puppies. Remember when Defy drew our Godslayer, like, that one time?
I do remember that, actually.
Dude, this motherfucker... Was it 2 times? Yeah, it was 2 times or whatever. I don't know, dude.
No.
It was 2 times or some shit. Yeah, it was 2 times.
It was on Navi, too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 2 times on Navi. And I'm like, this motherfucker... Imagine throwing on Navi, dude.
Glitch. Fuck you.
I look back. It was not there was no glitch. Get out of here, dude. You ran Magic or some shit, or you rolled on something. I don't know, dude.
No, okay. One time I got the time stop glitch, and I was floating on my head, and I couldn't do anything. and the other time I ran out of magic.
Hold on. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. The time stop glitch happens when you don't block the heavy attack rune.
No, it's when you get time stopped and heavy at the same time, and you like even if you roll dodge, you'll still get hit by it. So in order to not get hit by that glitch, you have to be out of the time stop or block the heavy before the time stop. Because if you get hit by the time stop and then heavied
at the exact same time, or time stop and then heavy.
Both, either the same time or time stop, and then you can't break free and block the heavy, and so you get stunned and you get uppercutted.
I don't know, bro.
It's funny.
I've never seen that. I'm gonna call Learn to Play.
Yeah, I think it was Learn to Play. Honestly,
all right, buddy,
happened twice.
Off tanking right now, except your tank is taking your ads for you, so I don't want to hear it.
I don't know what you're talking about, bro. I don't have an ice stab. That's all I changed. I have a taunt. I don't have to run ice stabs to off tank, bro. Come on now.
Yeah, you can run sword in the board.
My ads, little guy. Who's doing brittle? Who's doing the AoE brittle?
Tank with pulsar.
Main tank?
Yeah, why not? He has all of the ads at some point. Throw a pulsar and they're all brittled. Congratulations, Chief. You got brittled.
I feel like you could have better brittle.
Alright. Let's start talking about... let's shift the focus back to console at this point. In terms of the quality of life stuff they've been adding recently. Like ADR or the in-game generation. You don't think it's enough?
No.
Why?
It's like crumbs to what PC has.
Okay.
Like...
In what sense?
Just the amount of... What is it called? It makes shit easier. Quality of life. The amount of quality of life that he has is ridiculous compared to what they have. Like sky shards. You can literally have them pinned on the map. You can have lure books. You can have...
We have that on console now, buddy.
I go to a station. What?
We have sky shards on console now, brother.
Yeah, get fucked. Yeah, they do. You don't read the patch notes? I guess you don't watch my videos either. See, this is
literally the last update.
This is why I like PS4 PVers more, you know.
That's toxic, bro.
But it's just simple stuff like that. Like, do they have lure books?
No.
No.
Okay.
Just
but also,
wait,
for example,
stuff,
I can go up to a crafting station and press E, and it makes everything I need for my writs.
No,
and
you're right.
Then I can go and open up the map, and it'll show you every spot that I have a, what are those things called? The research.
Yeah. But we're talking about ADR though.
What?
We're talking about ADR, not the other.
I thought we were talking about quality of life add-ons in general.
Well, I thought we were specifically talking about ADR. Why? How that's not enough?
Well, for ADR's broken is all hell.
I mean, their ADRs
what do you mean by broken?
is like...
So first of all, it's not real ADR. You have these little bars above each of your skills for your back bar, right? And so that's a little odd to track and get used to, because when the bar's halfway for like Wall of Elements, that's different than when the bar's halfway at like Eruption. So you have to know what's on your back bar on those buttons and kind of think about it more intensively than just looking at what PC has, for example. But even beyond that, certain, like the Y button, for whatever reason, on my back bar, if you equip a certain skill, like Wall of Elements, you can lay it, bar swap, and then it just disappears completely. Like the bar disappears. Or the same thing happens just with the skill Scalding Rune in general. Or Degen still tracks the major sorcery rather than the dot. Trap tracks it when you place the skill, not when it's applied to the dummy. And like you can place a trap, and it can just sit there, and you can never know that it hit the boss because the timer just goes off, for example. So these are all still things like when I do my console build videos, I parse with no add-ons on the PTS. So I use the regular ADR, and I still have to look at the boss's debuff bar like we used to track dynamic rotations on console, and still track Scalding Rune and Degen through the boss's health, and then my AoEs through the actual ADR. So all they did was give us a way to track AoEs, which is a good step, and that's kind of like where the optimism comes into play, because it's like they recognize some of these things, and they're trying to close that gap, and that's cool. But then they completely missed the mark by doing something like integrating the Armory System without the ability to use it in content. Like it's kind of just a massive like, hey, here's something that's really nothing type of thing. Just to act like we care, right?
I guess I'm curious as to what your thoughts are then on the Armory System.
So I think I understand the need to not make something pay to win. Like I understand that necessity, but the Armory was not a good argument for that. Like, if you want to talk about a competitive advantage when it comes to people who have the don't, you also, if you're pushing score, which is the only type of competitive situation in ESO, you have to own the most recent content to get the best gear. Like, you're not going to put up a record without Bosse. You won't. I'm sorry. You're not going to put up a record without even owning the trial that you have to buy to compete in. Like, you can't tell me that ESO is not pay to win in some ways. It absolutely is. Race changing. I mean, like...
that's pay to convenience, though. And buying the content isn't really pay to win. What are you winning?
The opportunity to be competitive at all. Right?
Okay, but my issue with the pay to win argument for them too is like there's nothing to win. So even if they allowed the armory system in there, like what are you winning?
I would argue that
you know what I mean?
What you're pushing for, like even on PC world records or on console records, like that is the competitive element in my opinion. And you're not going to be able to actively compete in those things without having the best gear, the correct setup, a lot of which you do need content in order to be able to compete in, I guess is what I would say.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely feel like the armory system is smart. I just hard disagree with how they monetize it.
100%.
I understand that they need to monetize things. Obviously, it's a business.
Yeah, absolutely.
But man, I was so pissed when I was watching that live stream. Man, oh my god.
I don't think anybody would argue against it.
No, people are. People are.
Well, I feel like, at least, I guess in my own experience, people on Endgame don't have as much of an issue of paying for trials or paying for, I guess, for an early example, race changes. Like, I don't think anyone would have minded getting the armorer to be able to swap gear and content. I think that's a fair trade-off that people would have been okay with. I don't know about PC as much because you can swap morphs and other things too, so the add-ons on PC would become a little irrelevant at that point. And that's the only point where I might start to be able to see the argument, but it's a poorly constructed argument altogether.
I don't know. There's nothing to win. This is nothing to win, dude.
Yeah.
Then what are you winning? Even if you go for a world record or a console record, like what do you win?
Woohoo, GG.
Okay. What do you think they should add to make us win something?
To make it? I don't necessarily think anything needs to be added. But
What do you say, Defy?
Doesn't Destiny or like World of Warcraft do that for like the very first raid? The first team that completes it, they get like a fucking shirt or some shit.
Destiny gives you like a WWE championship belt kind of shit. It's really cool. Yeah, world's first.
John Cena just
No, it's not even like a world's first no death or anything. It's like a world's first clear.
right.
Yeah.
Right. But I would love to see ZOS do that. Like a world's first,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
like trifecta, or console first trifecta.
If they would stop humping each other over the Crown Star, maybe they would.
Console's a little bugged at the moment after one of the most recent maintenance updates. And somebody in chat the other day was like, "Wow, even the was broken. You know something's not right." It's
Well, what's broken?
I love how when the game has like a groundbreaking thing, like for example PB being broken, it's still not fixed. But for example, the Crown Star has something wrong with it. That shit's going down instantly. Fix that now.
Man, why do you... Everyone keeps bringing that up, dude. The PvP has been bringing that up. You're bringing it up now, Defy. Dude, here's the thing about the Crown Story. I know, I get it, but like, I feel like that's easier to fucking fix.
It's a lot easier to fix.
You know what I mean? It's just a fucking Crown Story. It's just a cash shop. There's no in-game mechanics to fix or whatever, right? Or the coding. It's probably really simple.
The frustration stems from the fact, though, that like there are things on Stam Glitch, for example, that have existed for almost a year now that still exist with no fix for.
Yeah, I get that. I get that for sure. But people always point to the Crown Store being fixed.
Yeah. I think it's more of a meme than anything, but like I get what you're saying.
Well, no, people are serious about it. I'm just like, okay. It's weird. I used to think the same thing. But then I got to talk more with them, and I realized something like...
Did they Gina gun you?
Huh? Gina what?
Gina gun you?
Gun me?
Yeah, Gina with the gun or
Oh,
the
no. They're
Talk
not.
shit about the crown store one more time, Nephis. We'll see who's a stream team member.
That shit's wild.
Lucky.
No, I mean, the more I talk to them, the more I understand how much more complicated it is. And as a typical player in Raider, like, you don't really think about that shit.
Right.
You just want shit to be fixed.
Nephis, why the fuck are crowns on sale on console but not on PC?
Crowns are on sale on console?
It's because add-ons are cheating.
Make up for cheating add-ons by buying crowns on console.
Dude, that was hilarious. Do you remember? I don't know if Puppies. I don't know if it was you or Puppies who was on that stream where I was trying to figure out how to stream from Xbox. And then I pointed my webcam at the monitor, and I was like, "This is truly the console life." Taking a picture of the monitor. What is up with that? Dude, it took ages for Defy to learn how to screenshot. You know what I mean? Bruh. Like, he took pictures. He took the camera like this. You know what I mean? He's like,
don't even. This man still can't even screenshot.
Who? Puppies?
I can't. Look, I can't. It's just a hassle.
Yo, check me out. I'm Puppies right now. I'm Puppies.
He's over here like,
bro.
Puppies right now, dude. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this podcast.
Listen. I know how to hit Windows print screen, okay? But what's annoying is go in. You have to go all the way to your documents folder. Then you have to go all the way to your screenshots.
Bruh.
Then you got to click on the picture. Then you got to crop out your other monitor, and then you have your picture.
What?
But I could just take my phone and be like, boom, boom. That's so easy. Like, why would I not?
Because then it turns out like this.
Bruh. Wait a minute. What are we talking about just now? Oh yeah. So it was hilarious because I was looking through. The ESO was downloading on the Xbox, and I was so excited. Now on the store, I see add-ons. All right, I'm like, whoa! Console has add-ons. You know, I actually uploaded a short of it to YouTube, and everyone's people got mad. The people got mad at me for posting that video because it's a funny video. The people are mad at me, dude.
Seeing you so excited, and then when you saw crowns, you fucking lost.
I lost it, dude. Because I was like, man, that sucks. That's like. Like adding insult to injury, like goddamn. Obviously, it's not intentional because everything's called add-on, right, for purchases. But still, the coincidence of it, man. Holy shit!
It's hilarious, bro.
Ah, man. But yeah, I think we touched on a lot of topics. What haven't we touched on? What do you guys want to touch on now? We can talk about anything. We have time.
We could talk about how I outparsed pups on an MA Crow.
Oh my, bro. Okay, this man. Listen,
Puppies, it's okay. Defy got outparsed by somebody on EC2, dude. It's okay.
Listen, bro. Dude. This guy is at the bottom of the board every raid day for like 7 or 8 days straight, and then I'm sitting here. Okay, so like it's a little bit of a transition.
I'm the only fucking crow, and I'm in MA. Fuck you.
It's a bit of a transition, like parsing on faster boss fights in a trial that I haven't done on PC, right? So what I'm trying to figure out right now on a DK is how to mag dump without completely magging out. On especially like Pinnacle, right? That was the fight. So I just did what I had normally boss fights, or even like AG, which I'm pretty consistently top parsing that fight.
Okay.
But I dumped my mag completely, threw my ult and stuff, and then a bash didn't go out for like a second, and my mag was gone from 40% to 0. And Defy's like, "Oh, you got outparsed by an micro." He's like, "I'm like, dude, what do you want me to do with no mag?" And he was like,
his reaction
sounds like Defy
is the reason I do it, because he just.
Dude, I literally take every single bait. I can't help it.
I'm literally a fucking master angler with this man. Just
master angler.
I can't help it. No, everybody on that team, bro. I'm the biggest meme on that team.
Dude. So on Infamous, there's like 3 people with different soundboards that can capture what people say in raid, and then they can replay it later. And in our Godslayer prog, I was keeping track of Pups. You have feedback, by the way. I was keeping track of who like caused the X amount of resets, and I was going to give gold to whoever had the least deaths resets, like cause of resets. And so I was the last one to throw, and I was stacking one of the ads. The Atros didn't die. I was bringing it underneath the dragon, and I got wing slapped because apparently he wing slaps you from under the dragon, and it threw me through Pups. And I counted him as the death for the reset, not me. And he screamed something about "you were in my ass," and they clipped that. And so now we'll be randomly rating, and Pups will die, and you'll just hear "you were in my ass."
I saw that.
It's so great. Oh man,
that's a good soundbite. That's a good one. You were in my ass.
Dude, I love that team so much. They're so much fun.
Oh man.
Try to think. The poll infamous Godslayer. This dude went through the
okay, what happened?
This man went through the ad poll early, and so I'm like mid gear swap, and I got an ice staff on my back bar and a shield front bar.
Okay.
But you can't actually use the shield unless you have a sword. And so I'm just sitting there with my fists taunting ads. So like my dude's just doing like a bob to taunt, and I'm sitting there like this stupid motherfucker just pulled this shit. And I'm asking my other tank, I'm like, please help me. I have nothing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, and that's the pull we got Godslayer with.
Yeah. Hey, all I'm saying, bro, is that those something silly happened. So you're welcome for that, Godslayer. I'll take all the credit for that.
Yeah, that's what Puppies carry, I heard.
Yeah.
Puppies carry?
Yeah, carry Defy, I heard.
Me? What the? I was the off tank. You can't get carried as the off tank. I had
solo tank Navi.
I had 3 fucking statues. That ain't a carry.
You can solo tank Navi.
With statues?
Hell yeah. I saw one
Who's
person do
gonna
it.
tank the ads? You gonna bring the statues? Everyone's gonna be at the back behind the awoken statue. Just
I guess
flame pulsar. Like, what the fuck are you gonna do there? What?
I guess you're just not at that level yet, Defy. You need to inflate your ego.
Yeah, everyone's got room to improve.
Dude, actually, what I really want to do, I want to put a team together and do a reverse Godslayer.
What do you mean by reverse Godslayer?
Kill Yolnacrin first.
Yeah.
No one has ever done that.
There's a reason for that, though.
Oh, yeah, it's because Loke's dog shit.
Well, yeah, it's easier, I think, on the group's like morale and mentality to wipe on Locusties and reset things. It doesn't take much time there. The 2 minutes? Less?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't take much time to get there.
But just think, you could
It's faster, too.
You could have world's first reverse Godslayer.
World's first reverse Godslayer. Dude, we actually, on the Ellsworth PTS, we did the Yonacrin first. But that's because Yonacrin was easier to prog.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the initial thing.
You can't do the same like ad stack 2 on the ads right before Grin.
Yeah, it'd be a problem because you'd have to change up. I mean, you could like, for example, Ice Stream, have everybody run around while the tanks stack it, and then once you're in that position, you're fine. Like the initial pulls of stuff would be weird.
You could just have everybody stack on they don't have to stack on the same spot. Like, they can stack on what would typically be exit, but new entrance.
Yeah.
Might be easier, actually, low-key, to chain the range ads that spawn at typical entrance, too.
Oh, true, it would be. Who knows? When I get bored enough, we'll do it.
Pug reverse Godslayer.
Pug reverse, oh god. Maybe not a pug. I'd want to have like set people that were experienced for that.
Bro, I'm just trying to get my sorority.
I want to briefly mention the fact that we did add a console records channel to the Discord.
Yes.
Do you think that's helped at all?
Oh yeah. I think typically the console record loosely collected by like a few different discords for console endgame. So like we did kind of have a place to put it, but not in a place that was near as public as ESOU, and so I think somebody in the mod chat the other day nailed it when they said like people had a reason to get console records, but didn't really have a reason to like work to improve them, which is kind of the biggest thing that we're seeing. Like, I don't remember the last time a console team stayed in a trial after they got the record to try to further their record and keep it, for example. And I mean, I think there are a lot of things that have contributed to the push in console and gaming. We talked about a little bit, like the Series X was the huge first step, and then more people getting more familiar with Endgame, but the console records being recognized in that public of a setting, I think, is given a lot of incentive.
Okay. Fair enough. Because, dude, I don't think... I had hopes for console. You know what I mean? To a degree. Like, for some things, like Valastran, like the arenas, like, console competed really well in the arenas. Black Rose Prison, Valastran, Master Marina.
That shit is nuts, bro. That guy's insane.
Even in the mini trials, it was close at several points throughout the history of those trials.
That's the thing. Like the vast world record on console could be so much higher.
Well, like you say that.
What's the difference between PC and console and VAS? Like, there's no gear swaps.
Well, the first biggest thing is you can run like Wild Hunt when you run the VAS initially, right? It doesn't save you a lot of time, but it does save you seconds, and that's what records come down to.
Right.
I'm not saying they take the record though, but the record in VAS is like 16, like 5.
16.5. What does that mean?
Like 16.5.
It is.
What's 16.5?
60
minutes.
About.
Yeah, and it's just like the world record on PC is over 17. Like, they could probably get to 17.
Probably, but I think. I mean, I don't know what that group. It's the guys who have got it. They are a bunch of really good players, but like there are a bunch of little things that we know make PC a little bit stronger, and I think one of the biggest things is logs, because as far as everyone on that team knows, they're probably just RNG farming the instance and not really sure of what could be significantly better, right, to increase their time by almost a minute or less. Sorry, I
don't know. Somebody was watching someone's point of view, and during the jump phases, instead of hitting the boss while he was flying, they were shielding the slams. And that's, I think, one of the things. I don't know how many people were doing that. I don't know whose point of view it was. I just remember somebody saying we were watching the video. I think it was like the Sork or something like that.
And I mean, like I said, I don't know specifically, but usually the biggest thing on console, especially with ADR, is support uptimes on a lot of other things that like we can track much easier on PC, even with like add-ons for tracking Stonefist, for example. Like I know how to do it on console, but I can't get a realistic understanding of my uptimes unless I go back and analyze a stream the way I was discussing earlier. So it's just little things, man, that add up, and a lot of them, a lot of it is add-on related. I feel like in ways, it's not that it can't be done. It's not that it's not possible. It's just that it's one of those things. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like hitting a perfect weave, for example. Like, is it possible? Yes. Is it practical? Not completely, in my opinion. Can be done. It would take, I think, like the players who play on PC and console, like who would switch back for Eternal and stuff. It would take those types of players with that kind of an understanding of the game, being able to look at what they've been doing on PC and then translate that back to their team in order for them to be able to do it. I would feel like.
Okay. On that, do you guys want to talk about anything else? Anything. It could be anything. It could be about console, ESO, PC, rating, PvE. What your expectations may be for 2022. For 2022.
A mini trial.
A mini trial. A lot of people hated VCR and VAS because it was 2 in a row.
So much fun.
And people were like, "Where's the full trial?" But I think part of the reason why we want mini trials now as a community more and more is because the full trials have been kind of like not
bad.
Bro. Yeah, I mean, like first Sunspire pissed the fuck out of me, dude. Like, what?
We'll give them VK and they give us something else.
VKA, dude. Sunspire.
VKA is the dumbest fucking trial they ever made.
VKA is this. I don't even know what the fuck to
they
call
said
it. It's
we're
like
going to give you the dumbest first two bosses that don't do absolutely anything. Final boss surprise, 300 mil. Like, how is this fun?
VKA is just an abomination because it's just such a hyper intensification of stressing one role, tank.
Oh yeah,
And I think that's really unhealthy for content,
support.
and I think that's really unhealthy for not just the content itself, but also like in terms of the community and like people tanking. Because man, if you die as a tank in VKA a bit, people will fucking blame you a lot more, because it's so much more obvious than the other ones, even more obvious than Sunspire at times.
But it's also the most boring to tank.
Is it?
You just hold block.
I know, I get that, but
like
I think foul grabbing is
for example, like for mini trials, VAS solo interrupting off tanking is so much fun because you feel like a DPS almost, where I'm constantly trying to stack Lothus. I'm constantly making sure I get the interrupt before anything goes out. Like that one's so much fun. Or for example, like mini tanking in VCR or solo portal tanking in VCR. Like you have to do more than just stand there and hold block. You have to like run cores, make sure that you let Zamaja channel long enough to give your downstairs person enough time to put a couple more dots on crystals to make it easier for them. And stuff like that. It's not just like sitting there like, I've got Fallgraven. Taunt. I've got Fallgraven. Taunt. Oh, we're going through the floor. Let's hope our Xbox doesn't crash.
Oh my gosh, that was the wildest thing, bro. It took us so long to figure that out.
At least they made it so where when you crashed, you'd hold blocks. The fucking you're doing the same shit, and you're like, OT, grab taunt. I'm at my home screen, and then he goes taunt, and then the tank loads back in, and they say they push the floors along the tank, and then the fucking OT crashes, and you're just like,
don't have guard and execute.
Yeah, or don't have guard or fucking.
My first shield, we had to put guard on one of the healers as a backup for tanks crashed, and like to try to prevent the crash, what you would do is you would run to the edge of the room near the flag, and you would jump up on this little ledge so that you didn't fall through the floor immediately, and you would let the entire floor animate, and then everyone would jump down. And the only reason it worked is because Twisting Path wasn't on the ground anymore by the time everybody did that.
Jesus.
Because there was Twisting Path that was causing the crash. No one there.
Dude,
the shit console had to go through. It was so dumb.
Dude, it's crazy how many more problems console has compared to PC.
I will say though,
so many problems.
Is so fucking innovative. It's phenomenal.
What do you mean innovative?
Every new patch,
oh my God,
they figure out a way to break something brand new. It's so amazing. One patch, Twisting Path fucks your fucking Xbox. The next patch, you can't even line attack. The next patch after that, you crash off of a fucking ice wall.
Okay, does this happen on the Xbox Series X anymore, puppies? Does that shit happen on? Does that happen on the X?
Bro,
because I feel like a lot of the issues are coming from hardware too, right?
Somehow they fuck up VAS every single time.
Yeah, that's true.
Why? Just that trial, like
that's true.
For example, like Ohms will just not jump. Or this patch, fucking Lothus has epilepsy every time he tries to do any mechanic and just has a seizure in the middle of the room. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
They finally fixed that, but...
So I think with the Series X, we still have a lot of... any issue that's on PC, at least previously, now that they put, like, I think a 2-week difference between PC and console release dates. Yeah. Right. For the most part, anything that happens on PC, we still get on the Series X on launch. The biggest discrepancy between Series X and non-Series X, at least for a while, was that we had a lot of crashes with the new systems.
Okay.
Compared to the old systems, but the old systems I think have a lot more of the little nitty-gritty issues that aren't like detrimental, but just kind of more annoying. If that makes sense, like bar swap lag or maybe stam glitch a little bit more often. And I can't. Everyone always talks about how they have a ton of issues, regardless of whether they're the old gen or new gen. And I personally don't have a lot of issues. I don't DC very often. I don't experience issues where I need to reset my game very often. So for whatever reason, I think it's a server thing, especially for the people a lot further server. Like, it's really bad for people that are in the Northeast, for example. I don't know why, but people in freaking New York and New Jersey, some of those guys on my team, left and right.
Okay. But
Oh,
yeah,
dude, I
dude,
remember that.
there's so many problems though. Like,
This patch, in halls at least, there's a new thing that's really innovative. Where I've seen it on the first boss and trips, but if you pull them, there's a chance that they just take a step and then disappear.
Everyone, wait! Don't drop your ultimates yet. Wait,
what?
And so yes. So I have to tell every time that we're on like trips and we go to pull early, I'm like, all right, this is who's ulting. Give it like 5 seconds. before we drop
okay.
anything
Yeah, I know what you're talking
to
about.
make sure they stay.
Okay. I see.
It's so dumb.
I really like it when I reset though, because I get to lay all my dots down. And
Well, yeah, definitely, historically speaking at least, console has so many more issues than PC. So many.
Like if you have an older Xbox, you can't see ad polls or
dude,
something like that.
the amount of
Is that still a thing?
no, they fixed that a while ago.
the amount of people who DM me on Discord and they're from console, they're like, "Hey, can you tell us also about this, or can you fix this for us?" I'm like, "What?"
They're telling the
You know what I
wrong
mean?
person. They gotta tell pups that.
Yeah, and I'm just like, man, there's so many issues I've never seen before on PC.
Like,
Like-
bro, when I posted that screenshot of missing the letter E in controller disconnected.
Dude.
It's
Yeah,
so gross.
Yeah, and then, my personal experience with one of the issues was the loading screens, at least on the S. I don't know about the X anymore. I think the X, like, I definitely have faster loading screens though, compared to people with the older hardware, or the S. Because I noticed something, I'm the first one moving, usually.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But, man, when I was on the S, and we went to VAA, and we got on the first set of pads, it was like the longest loading screen I've had in VAA.
Really?
And then I popped out a loading screen. And I went the right side, by the way, for the first set of pads.
Oh, you get
And then I
overcharged.
died.
Dead.
No,
No, I was dead. I was dead. I was dead on the loading screen. I was like, what the fuck, dude? I don't have a chance to, like, defend myself. I don't have a chance to heal. You know what I mean? And then people were like,
This
oh,
thing got overcharged.
and then people were like telling me, they're laughing, they're like, oh, yeah, that's common. There's a strat for that. I'm like, what the fuck's a strat? You bury your...
Barrier.
And I'm like, and I was like, bro.
Yeah, ain't lying.
Oh.
I was like, man, shit.
Now the strategy is just to put the people. Do you have a Series X? Okay, you're
Dude, you remember when we were so excited to push VSO? And then we
Oh
got there
my
and
lord, don't even remind me.
Stonebreaker
Don't even
turned
remind
into
me.
fucking Game Breaker.
Don't even remind me.
That man would
Jesus
slam
Christ.
everyone. Just eat his fuking Thanos.
You know what pisses
Everyone out of existence.
you know what pisses me the
Dude,
fuck me the fuck off about that, dude? I told Finn and Council Raiders, hey man, this is fucking bugging. What's going on? What's the word? I kept asking for like 2-3 patches in a row. Like, is this bug? Is this intended? And then they didn't do shit about it until Rich went to VSO. Rich Lambert went to VSO, and then he's like, man, this is fucked up. And then they're like, oh, next patch immediately they fixed it, or like they adjusted it. And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude?
I still remember
Come
the
on,
first time
man.
we pulled it, and you were like, "No, this is bullshit. We're good." And then he fucking turns and goes,
I'm just like, come on,
Fucking
listen
pops
to
us.
the fucking people who's giving you all the bug reports and shit. Come on, man, do something.
"Oh man."
That's like kind of another thing with some of their game mechanics. We talked about like Graven earlier and how that was crazy. I don't think Rodgrove was much of an improvement on kind of that concept as well. Especially since they nerfed Mistform. Like, this was something that I know was brought up many times before that trial went live, that like Mistform was the strat and that was probably a bad
Oh my
thing.
god, yes, we gave the
Like,
feedback, and
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean.
then teams went through and progressed it on the live server, and then a patch later they decide, hey, yeah, we're taking Mistform away now, so have fun with your boss A repo, right?
Yeah, exactly. And what's interesting about that isn't, a lot of people, and I talked about this in the video, but people fucking don't listen to the video. And the comments are like, oh my god, these endgame raiders got missed from nerds, fucking piece of shits. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, motherfucker. Well, okay, here's what happened. We ended up using it. We told them, hey, we don't want to use it. It's not, like, who the fuck wants to be in Mistform? There's so many drawbacks. Okay, there's so many drawbacks with Mistform. You don't have recovery, you can't heal yourself, you can't be healed. It's risk. You can still die in Mistform on Boss A. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you hit Mistform a second late on that fight.
Yeah, you're
main
fucked.
tank and you're dead, bro.
You're
You're
fucked.
dead.
Yeah, you're fucked. And then we just used it because that was the most efficient way, and they never gave us like an alternative at all. And that was our feedback. And then what happened with the Mistform thing was people saw the endgame players using it, and they were thinking to themselves, well, why can't we use this in other content?
Like low card mode.
No, not just that. You know, people fucking soloing shit that shouldn't be. They shouldn't be able to solo. Like the dungeons, like these fucking solo players and these fucking, you know, casual players. You know what I mean? They just want to circumvent fucking the mechanics. That's what happened. I'm pretty fucking sure. You know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that whole situation's just that
pissed me off.
Since the patch, and like we had quite the boss A reprog and have almost finished it, but it's such a weird thing to have to kind of try to redo, and like it was I felt like it was a relatively simple solution. The solution that they gave was what we were asking for initially. I don't understand why it was so difficult to just nerf a couple of those dots and everything was fine, right?
I think the entire design of that fight is kind of lazy in some aspects for sure.
It's just not good.
It's just, I don't know, man.
Like it's
downstairs.
A really cool concept.
What the fuck is downstairs, dude? You Mistform and you kill everything in Mistform, or I don't know. It's just so fucking weird.
Actually, dude, my with that team that's doing it, it's definitely a little bit of a newer team to difficult content, and so like it's lasting a little bit longer, and the portals are starting to get much more difficult near the end, and so. One of our guys, he's new to DPS. He's usually a healer, so he just does the silliest shit sometimes. Like the fire ghosts in the end, he tried to throw a taunt on his bar to try to taunt those things because he was like, "Oh, these are floating around. The tanks aren't getting them. Let me just grab it." Like, dude, you think that I wouldn't just taunt fucking ghost if I could taunt it? But he put magma on his bar and would go down a little bit earlier, and he would just magma and then like lay his AoEs everywhere and kill all the fucking ghosts at the end.
Yeah.
It's such a, like you said, lazy design. Like it could be such a cool fight, and it is kind of a cool fight on paper. It just doesn't work well. I feel like I don't know.
It's so tank dependent. It's so fucking annoying how they keep making this.
Every trial they make is always
super stressed. You know, on one role. I want something like VSO where everybody, you know, like has to do something to a degree.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, going back to the trials, you think VK is the worst one?
Hands down. Fuck VK.
I think Sunspire is the worst one.
What?
Whoa,
I think Sunspire is the worst one. Legit.
What?
Listen, that got like 20 fucking cosplayers in there, right? Okay, let me tell you something.
Bro.
Okay, here's the thing. VKA at least didn't promise anything with VKA. They promised something with Sunspire. They said it was gonna be like Maw of Lorcotch. Hey guys, we heard your feedback on Maw of Lorcotch, so we try to we got try to bring the fun elements of Maw of Lorcotch. Right? I'm like, I go in there on the fucking Ezra PTO. This is not fucking Maw of Lorcotch, motherfucker. This is like, what the fuck is this shit, dude? Oh wow, flight phase. Oh yeah, let's artificially add the fucking filler time to you know, for the speed achievement, and it's just so fucking boring. It's just so fucking boring, dude. The trash is not even like Maw. When, you know what I mean? Like VMO, you have you have trash priority, right? To a degree, like Sun Eaters and shit. Sunspire, you just stack everything and you just burn it. It's like, where's the
I feel like stacking in Maw is a lot more fun too than like stacking in Sunspire, which you don't really do at all. But I don't know. I've been in Sunspire a year doing Godslayer progs on PC and console, and I haven't gotten sick of it. I think it's some of the most fun burn strats to do in the game. Like Halls is another fun burn strat trial, but like I get people hate Halls too, so I don't know.
Fucking Dogwater Spire, fucking Dogfoot Slayer. I don't know. Fucking Poo Poo Kaka.
What is your favorite trial?
My favorite trial, Sanctum Ophidia.
Oh,
it has everything. What do we know,
bro? Dude, Sanctum is.
What are you talking about?
Like, that shit. Maybe it's just bad experiences with it. I've never really.
Okay, Sanctum, here's the thing. People don't like Sanctum because they're not good at it. They're not good at it because they've never done it, and they've never done it because they don't like it, because they're not. You know what I mean? This is the cycle. You know what I mean? But Sanctum has everything. 5 boss fights. You know what I mean? And they all have unique, different mechanics that people have to. It's not just on the tanks. It's not just on the healers. It's not just on the DPS. Trash is constant. You know, like it puts stress on the group as a whole. Everyone has to do something in there. It's perfect.
Yeah, that's true.
It's almost perfect.
I think from a good.
I want to say I definitely think VSO is a lot of fun, and that was a lot of fun to push for like the very first clear of it. but I will say Vass is probably the most fun.
Yeah, I was spoken like a true fucking parse monkey. Jesus Christ.
Breaking my heart.
Fucking-
Hell
I
no.
fucking off tanky. What do you mean? I don't get a parse. My crushing shock, is that a parse?
Yeah,
I'm
your parse
definitely
is like how clean that you can make the fight. That's your parse. Then getting the solo interrupts and shit, sacking the minis. You know what I mean?
Now my
Yeah.
thing,
Uptimes.
my thing is about PA.
Yeah,
Because
uptimes.
Empower's gonna be ass regardless, because everybody's fucking moving constantly. No one stays in one spot long enough to give Empower. But now it's about making sure no bolts go out to keep up kill stacks as well as PA.
Yeah, that's your stuck. Or that's your
my
parse.
PA is my parse now. So I will say Vass is probably my favorite. And right behind that's Maul. Maul is such a good choice.
Aw. Yeah, it's decent. Not as good as VSO.
Of,
I think
okay,
I've spoken like a
of the
tank, though.
Craglorns, VSO is
What,
definitely the best.
VSO?
Oh yeah, dude.
I've healed it, I've DPS'd it, I've tanked it.
I mean, I'm sure you've done all roles, but like it is. I guess a DPS main. I mean, the reason I don't like that trial is because you're so reliant on your other roles to do well. I
It's
guess.
because you're parse
All right,
monkey.
Pups, what's your favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite? It's gonna say
Probably-
VKA. I can see it in his eyes.
No, it's either
VK.
it's either VSS or VSO, VCR.
Man.
Wait, VCR and what?
VCR or VSS. It's one of the two.
You're fucking dog shit.
VCR is a lot of fun.
That's Sunspire. What
But
the fuck?
Sunspire-
What is
Sunspire
wrong
is
with
the
you?
most definition of like, I don't know. I feel like in Sunspire I'm parsing more than any other content, even more than like Yondir
What?
or Brawl, because
What are you parsing when they fly away?
Not so much, but Locusties is such a fun fight to parse.
No, it's not.
Oh, absolutely, because
How?
you have to rely a little bit on your healers if you don't want to shield on your back bar for like
Okay.
obviously heals during the beam phase, but you have to set yourself up well for that. Especially with Bosse this patch, you have to make sure that your mag doesn't get too high during the atro phases while still doing good enough AoE damage to kill them. And on a DK, pre-dot and end up perfectly with 0 mag, so you drop your standard right on the land and bump back up to 50 and then outparse
Okay.
everybody. It's just, I don't know, it's a lot of complexity to try to make sure that you hit the highest number that you can on Locusties at least. And Navi Portals is just fun.
You're trying to put
yeah.
the fucking you're trying to put shit into the fucking what is that? What's that shit called? the LHC? What's it called?
What?
The LHC. Fuck. The large the Hadron Collider where they fucking smash the particles together. You know, you're trying to find complexity in dog shit. You can do that shit for any other fight. You know what I mean? Oh, before the warrior statues me, I gotta get my magical low. I got pre-dot. You know what I mean? You got the shit anywhere.
I don't know. Every other fight is just dump your mag and part. Like that, you have to think about it a lot more on those fights. I feel like with Bosse.
All right, boys, what do you think is the hardest role to play? and be good at?
Hardest role, DPS. Well, no. Hardest role to play or hardest role to master?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll say both. Hardest role to play.
Hardest role to play, I would say, is gonna be tank
Probably tank.
tank or healer.
Yeah.
Tank or healer. Somewhere around there.
I think just to play in general, it's definitely like tank has the highest
I think tank.
learning curve and awareness versus like DPS and healers just kind of need to do their job to some extent, but to master is a different topic for sure.
Yeah.
All right, what
Tank.
would you say is the highest skill ceiling?
DPS.
DPS
Hardest class to master. Hardest role to master is DPS.
for sure.
Without a doubt.
Okay.
And I think it's kind of interesting, like starting as a DPS main and then switching to, especially on, you don't have a strong emphasis of buff up time. So the fun part about doing other roles to me is parsing while not dying as a tank, for example, or all that other stuff. It's interesting, but it's a lot easier to do, I feel like, when you come from a DPS background than just starting as a tank who you go into it thinking like, my job is to taunt shit and not die, right? Like tank mains don't start with the intention to really parse, I guess.
Yeah, there's a
So,
pyramid. There's a
I'm
pyramid.
actually gonna disagree with both of you here.
Okay,
I think
why?
DPS is the hardest to learn at
What?
the start because okay, listen. There's so much to do
Okay.
as a DPS, like learning a rotation, learning time on target, how important that is.
Mhm.
But I think the highest skill gap is tanking.
You're wrong.
Yeah, it kind of goes into the topics you're talking about goes into
Brother,
mastering, dude. Like, you
Time,
can,
like
Okay.
I'm not talking about fucking 3 tanking a VCR. I'm talking like
What, 2 tanking?
well, yeah. Well, for example, 2 tanking that, but
Yeah, sure.
like,
but okay, here's the thing. Like,
okay, which one do you think is going to be harder? A tank that's hitting the maximum up times and solar interrupting vast, or a brain-dead DPS who walks forwards and backwards the entire time?
Well, that's a content argument, not necessarily
yeah,
a role.
that's not a role
argument. Like in Vast, yeah, sure, I'll give you that.
All right, let's be real. Healers are the hardest role in the game.
What? No, I don't know about DPS being the hardest class to play, because at the end of the day, you're just pressing fucking buttons. You mess up, that's okay.
To do good damage.
Yeah,
like,
you mess up as a healer or a tank, you're fucked.
Yeah.
People call you out and shit, just pressure.
For sure.
It's hard to get into it, because it's also not maybe as engaging as DPS.
I don't know. From my point of view, I feel like watching other people, like tanking is the one thing I don't trust people to do. And so I've picked up myself doing it. Whereas like DPSing, I see a lot of people that can hit really good numbers. And healing a little bit, I'll give people a shot at. But like tanking for me is the biggest one that I have to have. For example, if I'm gonna go hug a Godslayer, I have to have somebody that I know can tank with me. I can't just bring some random person in.
No, that's not a
Sure.
bug.
That's a question of like the most important, not necessarily the most difficult.
Yeah, but I don't know. From my perspective, I just feel like tanking requires the biggest like skill gap.
Meh.
Because you can hit 100k on Loke and floor, but
that's not
you
a good
can't.
DPS.
I mean, if
Yeah.
they're top parsing.
Yeah, that doesn't fucking matter if you're gonna wipe or if you keep dying and people res you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what's another unpopular opinion you have of Defy so we can like rag on you?
Unpopular opinion.
Let's
Only healers should be males.
Oh my bro.
Yeah. I can get down with this.
Okay, to be
I
fair,
can get down with this.
I know. What is it? I'm trying to think of like healer mains. The only male I know I can think of on the top of my head is Rooster, and he's a phenomenal healer.
You know, I used to be a healer, man.
Oh, what?
For
You're
years.
healing on
Actually, I
console?
take that back. Male healers suck.
Jeez, unlucky.
Fuck you, dude.
Both the healers on my Godslayer team on console.
Dude,
Are
They
Nice.
actually have been for quite so long.
that is true. I do remember Hawkeye.
Well, Hawk's actually
And-
tanking. Yeah. So Hawk actually has a Godslayer and a healer.
And I wants to tank it.
He look, he might be I don't know of anybody else that's gotten Godslayer on console in all 3 roles.
back when I was healing, I was the only male healer in endgame. Sword pushing and shit, you know? No, I'm serious. There was one other asshole, but he's a piece of shit. Like a degenerate piece of shit human being. But anyway, I don't... By the way, he was also an Xbox player. Transfer. Xbox transfer. But anyway, dude, like, and, you know, I brought this up with Unicorn and 2 podcasts ago, two episodes ago. And she kind of talked on why she likes healing. She happens to be female.
It's because it's the mother role.
You think so? What's your theory on why healers are women
I don't
mostly?
think we want Defy's
Okay,
theory on this, I'll be
so
honest.
no. Like literally from a psychology background.
Psychology
Like,
background, okay.
The role of healing is, and like honestly, all 3 roles are dependent a lot. I honestly think about personality because there are healers that are male. There are DPS that are female. There are tanks that are female. But for example, the healing role is a lot more of the nurturing, the kind of like making sure that the person's okay kind of thing. Whereas tanking is the person that's like protecting almost in a way, and like DPS is more of like the Chad is the best thing I could think of, like trying to see how hard you can hit.
Jad,
So,
it's
like,
Jad.
You have all 3 of like, because like there's like the prideful people. Usually the ones.
Here's
that, like,
Dr. Defy over here. Say, okay, guys, here's a new personality types: protective, maternal, Chad.
The ESO personality types, INFJ.
Oh yeah, honestly,
shit.
like I feel like you could use like Myers-Briggs or something like that, and you could get pretty close stuff out of that. Like for example, my personality is, it's called like entrepreneur. No, not entrepreneur. It's
Entrepreneur.
no, not entrepreneur. I don't know why I said
Yo,
it
I'm
was
the
like-
I'm a businessman from the Business Factory. Hello, nice to meet you.
no, not entrepreneur. What the fuck is it called?
What are you talking about, dude?
It's with an E. Not entrepreneur.
Oh, you're talking about the personality types. Jesus, I
Yeah,
thought you
yeah.
were talking about fucking like a trait.
My
personality
is
That bullshit
E.
thing with the personality types, like the
Yes,
fucking
yes.
horoscope shit. EFNTP.
Oh, fuck, I don't know.
horoscope.
You know what I mean?
What the
Yeah. Dude, those
I don't-
personality type bullshit tests are like bullshit. Come on. You gotta admit.
they are not.
Go take
No,
one.
they're not.
Have you
Okay,
taken one?
There's a difference between going, oh, I was born in February, so I just have to be a bitch today. No, Susan, you're just a bitch in general. Like, there's a difference between that and like doing like actually like.
What do you mean? It's the same shit. It's the same.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
Horoscopes.
I-
Alpha male, beta,
Yes.
Chad, or and okay, and
This
INTJ.
Just when you were born, that is it. There's nothing about
Yeah.
you. Myers-Briggs, you have to fill out a fucking test about what you think.
You have to fill out a test for
Apply more to
horoscopes
you.
too.
Like, would
Myers-
you be more extroverted?
You have to fill out a test for are you a beta cuck or an alpha male? You know, it's all the same shit.
You press your fucking birthday and the time you were born. They're like, all right,
But they ask
Today-
you other
today
details.
you better find a Leo because it'll really ignite the passion inside you. And you're like, why the fuck does that matter? Like when they were born, like what? But
Same shit. It's all the same
okay,
shit.
no, that's
It's all the
yeah.
same
Well,
shit.
one's been kind of proven by like tested and proven in psychology to an extent, which a lot of people don't.
Well, you
For
cut out.
sure.
You cut out. What do you say?
If you don't consider psychology like a science to an extent, then sure. But a lot of like the Myers-Briggs, for example, is one of the most notable personality tests that like psychologists use in general.
No, I think it's bullshit. I don't really trust psychologists or really some psychiatrists out there, dude. Fuck that. I think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
I think you can be very multifaceted. You can't just confine
Okay,
one person to one type of a personality. That's fucked up.
Funny enough, that's a personality type.
Oh!
It's literally called ambivert. So,
What?
for example, ambivert. So that's like, for example, so there's extroverted to introverted people, and there's also ambiverted.
I think that's
people.
also
So for-
bullshit. No, I'm serious, dude. Like, I see this shit on Twitter all the time. Oh my god. Oh, I'm an introvert. Oh my god, I'm such an introverted extrovert. Like, shut the fuck up. You're a fucking go look at a horoscope.
It's an bro.
Fucking bullshit labels. Dude.
Ambiverts are people that can draw
Animorphs?
energy from
Like the book?
what? No, amnivert.
Okay.
Amnivert.
Animorphs is a really good series, by the way.
So let me fucking finish. Is somebody who can draw energy from both other people and being by themselves. And so, I mean, if a chick's like, oh yeah, my
Energy.
my horoscope says that I can do whatever. Like that's one thing, but it's one where it's like you have to answer this for yourself. If you go to a party, do you feel more energized, or for example, if you go play ESO with a couple of your friends, do you feel more energized? Like which one for you do you feel gives you more energy?
Depends on the day.
So then you're
Depends on
probably
what
an
happened.
ambivert.
No.
You're probably an ambivert.
What does that mean?
That means that you can draw energy either from people or by yourself. It doesn't matter. It can be either one.
So you're a human.
Like, well, no, like for example,
No, some people, just because you can't, you gotta open that mind, brother.
My mind is very open, and my mind is telling me it's all
Some-
bullshit labels, dude. That's all I'm saying.
Some people cannot get energy unless they are by themselves for a certain amount of time. A lot of those people read. A lot of those people do things, but it doesn't mean that they can't go out to a party and have fun.
Right.
Okay.
What it means is you have to recharge. Every human is a fucking battery, right? And
What does that mean?
did you study psychology, motherfucker? No.
I have taken
did.
psychology. I mean, I don't know.
I took an intro to psychology.
Psychology.
I really fucking got a bachelor's in this, and I'm gonna get a fucking master's soon.
I don't know, man. Like, shit. I'm sick. I'm personally like sick as fuck. You know what I mean? I don't believe in these fucking labels. It doesn't make sense to me.
It's not a label.
It,
Hey,
it kind of is.
I don't. Okay. It is impossible for me to be by myself and get energy. I have to be around other people. I literally, if I'm by myself for too long, I get extremely depressed, and
That's
it goes downhill.
That's every human though.
No, I'm the opposite.
No.
So like I have to mentally prepare if I'm going into like a situation like if I've done too much with too many people over the course of a week, then I just need some alone time. More so than like the Defy, for example.
Yeah, well, that's everyone.
And I'm the exact opposite. If I'm alone, I can be alone for a certain amount of time, but I will literally go crazy if I'm alone for too long.
Right, so what we have is introvert, Defy being an extrovert, and you being an
Amnivert.
really what that is.
This motherfucker over here is like, no, your horoscope, no.
It's all bullshit, dude. I think it's all bullshit. You know, I think it's all bullshit. Horoscope, beta, alpha, introvert, extrovert, personality type.
Dude,
Horoscope
Zodiac.
is based on stereotypes, like the personality tests try to define like certain types of people, so that you can kind of learn a little bit more about yourself based on the way that you live your daily life.
Nephis, there's a reason why people have you do personality tests for a majority of workplaces that you go to.
Because they want to fit you into a box.
No.
Yeah,
not
they want to
necessarily.
define you. People want to be able to easily simplify and define people or concepts to the point where they
also
understand
want
it.
to see how you work. Because they're not going to, for example, if somebody that's super introverted, they're not going to go put them on a huge team. They're going to find a couple people that they work well with, put them together. Like, there'd be no point of trying to put Pups in charge of 100 people every single day. Like, he would work best with, like,
But
five
that's a
people close.
that's a development thing. That's not exactly like you're that type forever.
Yeah, you can always grow and you can always change. You're not stuck in a label. People change, but like it's just a way of kind of like defining, I guess, your personality in a way. Like your personality can change. It's just what it is for now, at least. Kind of going back to that though, what I find strange is you were talking about how healing is like the taking care of people type of role, but don't you literally like as a job work with special needs people?
Yeah. But even when I work with those special needs people, I'm more of, for example, if they go into a behavior, I'm the first one who reacts to defend everybody else.
Oh.
And I'm usually the one that, because I'm a lot bigger than almost everybody that I'm around. And I'll usually be the first one to put them into like a restraining hold kind of thing. And so, yes, I do have like a healing nature, which is, I mean, I heal on ESO. And I still have an ego, so I DPS. But when it comes down to it...
I thought you were an introvert.
What? No.
I thought you were... I don't know, dude.
When it comes down to it, like, my fucking base is protection. Like, I'm like... I don't even know how to explain it. Like, the very first thing I think about, even like with my friends and stuff like that, if somebody's shit-talking my friends, I will instantly defend them and attack the other person.
I remember that.
And it doesn't matter with anything. Like, for example, there was a dude attacking Pups in his channel, and I don't think I've stopped attacking him since. It's stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. You can believe what you want, but I think deep down, people play the roles that they're best at based off their psychology.
So your theory is what? So most healers happen to be women.
Because they are more of the caregiving kind of roles.
Which there are always exceptions to.
Yeah, like
Okay.
and there's women that think that, like for example, there are women that tank, that are more of like a defensive role. Like for example, if they're, I mean, and it's not saying that they, for example, if not all women are caregivers, but at the same time, not all women can also be like defensive. Like for example, if a kid is like their kid is being hurt or something like that, like there's stories of moms fucking throwing cars off their kids kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not saying it's directly that, but I'm saying that your psychology does have a very good correlation with the roles you play.
What do you think, Puppies?
Yeah, I agree with that. Just based on like what I know about certain people, like in depth and kind of the roles they play. There's a lot in there, and I don't think it's necessarily specific to kind of like the pilot was saying. Whoops, that's probably the reason a lot more women heal in general, because that's kind of a more so that's a characteristic of women more often. But also like the people that I know, like women who tank or DPS, have the same type of mentality that kind of Defy was talking about, rather than the
Also,
nurturing or caregiver.
which one's more rewarding for you? For me, so far that I've found, like picking up tanking, I find it the most rewarding, like seeing my uptime, seeing me as a tank. Whereas I'm guessing Pups, I mean, he loves to fucking parse. He loves seeing his parse.
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel like you get the most reward playing, Nifis?
Doesn't matter.
Stand DPS.
No. Shut the fuck up. we can tell about that too. We can tell about that too, you asshole. You made that meme. But anyway, what do I get the most reward out of? Not a roll. Doesn't matter to me.
Amnivert.
A what? An Animorph?
A stam.
We talking about Animorphs again, motherfucker?
Born in the month of May.
Yeah, I'm an extroverted introvert. I'm in Aries, born on the star of Scorpio, and I'm an alpha male.
Dude, those horoscopes.
I'm an INTPJ.
Listen. The best part about horoscopes is they can get you laid.
What?
Everything else about horoscopes is fucking useless. You can literally tell a chick that's like super into that shit, be like, yeah, I was born this, so I'm
what the
this
fuck?
fucking
Okay.
month. And she's like, oh yes, we're meant to fuck.
Now
Because you were born.
What the fuck?
It's toxic, but it's true. Like
Jesus.
I literally got with a chick in college because of my horoscope.
What the fuck sign are you?
sounds like some Xbox and shit.
Wait, what do you say?
Pisces.
Pisces? Oh god, you're such a Pisces. Jesus.
Dude, have you seen that like the memes and shit? They'll be like, "Yeah, I'm a Pisces," and they go, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. You're such a fucking Pisces." You're like, "Actually, I was just kidding. I'm an Aries." Oh no, that makes sense. And they're like, they just keep fucking going.
Okay, but apart from the psychological theory, I also have a cultural theory.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cultural.
Yeah, because okay, the majority of my Twitch viewers are male. The majority of gamers are male. The majority of ESO players are male. Right? And it just so happens that unfortunately at times, especially in ESO at times, women do get harassed. Right? They tend to be the more harassed demographic than men.
Right.
In terms of like, you know, rape threats, sexual harassment, and whatever, anything related with the toxic behavior we've kind of talked about earlier. I feel like healing in ESO in particular is at times largely like an easier role to enter. I feel like more people will kind of scrutinize DPS roles and tanks especially, and like it's less of a blameless role, and I think it's an easier role to get into, for sure. And I think that kind of plays into why they kind of hover towards that role.
I mean that could also play a role.
I think maybe on PC for sure, but like I know a lot, even on console, healers and tanks will get blamed a lot more than DPS because like we can't see DPS parses, for example, right? So when somebody dies, it's like, oh, blame the healer, or when boss is loose, you know, blame the tank. It's very easy to visually see those things happening than to see DPS making mistakes, especially in the moment. And there are more, I know more healers that are women than men on consoles, so I could definitely see that on PC, but then again, at the same time too, I guess I know men on console than I do on PC. So I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. Personally,
For sure.
Not one thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's the end all be all. If you are male, you can only tank a DPS. You can never heal.
Yeah.
That would suck.
I don't know. I think healing is really easy to get into, for sure, for anyone.
Yeah.
I will definitely say after tanking and DPSing for like in-game content, picking up healing recently was a lot easier than I expected.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like I'm leading a team going for Godslayer, and I'm Templar, Rojo, and healing tombs, and I can heal 2 people out at the same time of the tomb, and like everyone else there was like, what the fuck, how can you do that? And it was like on pure accident that I was like, okay, this is apparently something that's most people thought was hard, but it was pretty easy. So I don't know.
I think, especially after doing the other two roles, though, transitioning into healing is probably the
Easiest.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, also when it comes down to it, I feel like if for people playing more than one role, if you know how to DPS, every role becomes easier because you understand like uptimes and placements and time on target. And stuff like
for sure.
I mean, it's kind of unique in the sense that all three of us here have played to a very high level as all three roles, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important for people to play all three roles at one point in their life.
Oh, definitely.
It just helps so much. Like, it opens your eyes up so much. Like, because you understand what to do as a tank because you DPS before. Arguably, most of the best tanks were DPS mains before they switch over to tanking, and then you understand as a healer what the DPS need because you yourself DPS, or you understand the DPS, understand where the healer will place that Olo, or like, you know what I mean, like.
Right. When
to expect that damage, and when the healer's going to heal you, so you stand in certain. It's a lot. It's all interconnected.
Yeah, absolutely. It's detrimental to being like a solid player that you're able to do, or at least experience at some point all three roles. It's eye opening. Like, I remember the first support role that I played. I played DPS for probably 3 years, and then I tanked for the first time a couple of years ago, and. Like, especially on console, being able to see what everything is doing up close and be able to have that kind of awareness as a tank allowed me to see it as a DPS more clearly and anticipate it more clearly. And that was massive into being able to, like, raid lead and do callouts and things like that.
Defy, do you have any more unpopular opinions? Any more whack theories?
I was just gonna say, it's all like, especially the healers that are like watching it.
Okay.
We're not putting you guys down. Please continue to heal and continue.
Oh, absolutely.
To work at getting better. Like, don't think we're over here just like, oh yeah, healers are fucking stupid.
Well,
women.
Yeah.
But there's also kind of a culture too. You know what I mean? Like, e-girl healers. Like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Come on. I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
The e-girl with her tank main.
I don't like that shit.
I mean,
what do you mean? You put one on your fucking score push team.
I don't like that shit. Also, Nephis.
What are you talking about?
Kodiak and Kityn on the same team.
What does that have to do with anything? What the fuck are you talking about?
They were e-couple. Well, at first,
E-couple.
right?
Wait, e-couple's different than, like, e-girl, though.
But they're married. What are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about?
Okay, but it's still the same thing, like a relationship on the team. Isn't that what you're talking about?
No. Like,
no, I'm talking about how, a lot of people, especially on console. I was talking about especially on console. There's this concept of e-girl healers or whatever. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? E-girl healers. Yeah, see, Puppies knows.
Carry me through content kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, ooh,
It's just, that's what I don't like. In terms of, like, that perception of people.
Puppies, pick me.
Because it's, because I think it's insulting to not just the woman, but also to the person, like, picking them up for their team. Because, like, you're just kind of alleging that they're just thinking with their fucking penis. And not thinking with logic. Sound of mind shit,
there was a ton of drama that just went down with a couple of...
Okay, tell me the drama. Tell me the drama.
I don't remember it much, but it was with... the whole idea was that, like, they were trying to... And the only reason that, like... the healer was on that Griffinheart team was because she and the raid lead were, doing some ego
in a
stuff.
relationship.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she was definitely, like, on that team for that reason, I believe. And the long story short is the team fell apart because they couldn't do it because she wasn't competent enough.
The nudes weren't strong enough?
Yep. Wait. Wait.
Jesus Christ.
Hold on. What did I just agree to?
Tough.
But not only that, it's so hard to find good healers in console too, because again, just because of the whole buff uptime thing, like they really are far and few between.
Light attacks.
Yep.
To all the healers out here watching this, Please light attack.
Why?
Why?
Yeah, why?
Why light attack? Because
Yeah.
uptimes? Berserker?
You're the leaders.
Crusher, Brittle? Oh, okay, shut the fuck up. Over here, like, oh, and if you're gonna spam something, please spam combat pair, not radiant regen.
Gosh. Bro, I made an unlisted YouTube video the other day where
Okay.
like it was for my teams because they're arguing. Someone was using radiating regen as like their primary burst heal, and it was like, dude, the combat prayer uptimes aren't good. And you're like, we don't need combat prayer anymore because of Kinross. So I made a YouTube video about combat prayer uptimes and like how many cast healers are still using and what the difference is based on some of Infamous's logs, and did the video with use fucking combat prayer.
I mean, what else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Dude, what healers need to do is they need to slam the ground and not fucking fist pump. No one wants to hear fucking reading and go ching, 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 like fucking just slam. It's combat prayer is a fatter heal, gets it to 6 people, and some people don't get Kinross because fucking pets apparently take Kinross. So not everybody's getting Kinross. So just combat prayer, please, and light attack. That's it.
Well, okay. What do you say? What do you say for the fucking DPS and tanks then?
I mean, tank like fucking. I mean,
Light attack.
The biggest uptimes.
Honestly, DPS need the light attack too, bro.
Yeah. Light attack is important. Tanking light attacks is probably the least.
It all comes down to light attacks in the end. You know.
It all circles back around.
It all comes back to light attacks. Light attacks.
As far as ranking goes, DPS is the most important, then healing, then tanking.
What do you mean ranking?
For the most part, like for most important, because for the most part, like tanks are blocking, so it's much harder to light attack.
Oh,
you're talking about light attacks. I was like talking about.
Okay, yeah, I was like, hold on, wait.
They're talking about the general shit.
General, yeah.
I mean,
the lowest.
yeah. I mean, to a degree, DPS is king in this game. That's just how the content is designed, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on your perspective.
You can skip a lot of shit by just having a DPS.
Right, you can 4 DPS vet dungeons, or you can whatever, right?
Good DPS can also be made up by uptimes.
Absolutely,
Exactly.
and that's huge.
Exactly. You can't get there as a DPS without the uptimes.
The uptime is so important.
Entwined.
I
Man, we
think
talked about a lot of shit.
Yeah, we talked for a while.
It's almost 3 hours, damn.
Oh shit, really? Man, I've had so much fun. I didn't even know this time.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter if it's longer than
Best
the other
guess.
ones
Up.
because it's 2 guests, not 1 guess. Right, this time around.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, you guys want to talk about anything else?
You could just have us on, or especially me, for my shitty opinions whenever you want.
Okay, what's another shitty opinion about ESO?
Another shitty
Or
opinion?
another psychological
Brother,
theory?
I've been up for like over 24 hours. So you think I can just fucking pop out shitty opinions?
You
I
do
mean,
it
that's all you have.
It takes time.
That's all you have.
all the time.
To come up with shitty opinions.
Oh,
Okay.
Defy, tell me about fighting finesse and backstabber together.
What?
Put them together.
That's a shitty opinion.
For magic DPS?
Yeah.
It depends on the fight.
How does it depend on the fight?
It depends on
It's
what
usually
buffs-
just backstabber.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it ultimately
Or
depends on
fighting finesse,
what
depending on
buffs you have.
Well, I mean, you'll have EC, you're done. And brittle.
Well, are you a Qkiie?
And you have light armor.
Here's the deal. So I bring this up because I was working. I've been getting this question after the build video for the patch, and
I mean, not light armor anymore.
I pretty much put fighting finesse and backstabber because I switched to a dark elf, and in halls, that's what I was told to run. So like a good little DPS boy, that's what I did. But after looking into it a lot more, if buff up times, which they're not going to be perfect, I get that. But if they're the best that you can have as not a Qkiie is like 142% crit damage, right?
Mhm.
Or 144 if you're running 2 medium. So the buff up times have to be really bad to warrant both backstabber and fighting finesse, I feel like.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it depends on the fight. Depends on the uptimes.
Now your magic DPS, just put whatever. Doesn't matter. Alright,
I mean,
let me talk about
what
that
else are
shit.
you gonna
Fuck you.
want?
Puppies made a meme about me saying, oh, Stamina's gonna be meta every patch. I don't say Stamina's gonna be meta every patch. I just said Stamina's gonna be very meta or very close to meta this patch. And I'm right.
There's always, and it's usually meme video.
And I'm right, dude.
Every patch, it's always like,
Because people always
DPS is back.
no, because people always ask me, "Oh my god, is stamina DPS good? Is a stamina DPS viable? You know, can my fucking dark elf Stam Crow hybrid build with fucking 2 legs tied up viable? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta address that
all
shit.
I'm gonna say is the next God Slayer I get is gonna be on a Templar OOT, and my front bar is gonna be full stamina DPS, and back bar is gonna be a fucking shield, because that's how brain dead Templar is.
People are still not giving Stam a chance at all because they're just lazy. They're just fucking lazy. It all comes down to it. It's gonna just be more time. It's always the case. Whether we went from Stam to Mag or Mag to Stam in the past, it's always takes some time. You know.
Where my maggers in the chat.
Stam ain't. It's not going to be a thing on console. I'll tell you that. But on PC, I see a lot more viability for it. It's just a lot more difficult to optimize and play than it is for Mag.
No, that's the thing. It isn't.
Mag's easier, but
that's the thing. It isn't like harder. It's just one extra set.
You want to know why?
What?
You want to know why Mag is better than Stam? Because this patch, everything that Stam had was now given to Mag.
Well, that's
King
like
Ross,
okay. Here's the thing.
King Ross, fucking Mag now, baby. Zovkins, Mag now, baby. Fucking Solzan, advancing, all that shit's Mag now.
It's not those sets though. It's mainly Boss A, right?
True.
Yep.
Like, I don't think those sets really matter.
You could Mag dump
like
on a Stam character.
The damage and time, the fight times are really close. For example, in that PB prog I'm doing for Stam, it's literally close to Mag, or better than some Mag groups for PB.
What's the best Oaks time that you've gotten on?
Sub 4, like 3 something. Fuck me out. It's in Pars's channel somewhere in the so yeah, 349, 50, somewhere around there. And that's with a death or some shit, dude. That's the thing. I don't know. It's close. It's really close, but people just aren't giving it.
Yeah, no, it's close for sure.
And in the ESOU Discord, people always complain about, oh my god, my Rayleigh won't accept my Stam Crow or whatever. People are complaining all the time about Rayleigh's not wanting to do Stam DPS comps.
Mag meta, baby.
Nah, it's just they're lazy. They're just lazy, man. Same shit always happens.
Mag's out for Harambe.
Then my name got banned.
What?
Yeah, I didn't tell you? So
Your name got banned?
Okay, so before Mechanically Challenged was Mechanically Challenged, we were first owed to Harambe. Like, okay, it was a very trying time, alright. Harambe was fucking shot. Dude, Harambe got shot on national television.
This is prime time Harambe.
Alright? Ode to Harambe was the guild name before it was MC. But before that, it was also no ETA. But anyway, Ode to Harambe, so everyone had their own little cute character names, like, you know, Frags out for Harambe. Because it was Dicks out for Harambe, right? You can't give it Dicks out. Frags out for Harambe, Whips out for Harambe, Jabs out for Harambe. Mine was Lights out for Harambe because it was a Magplar DPS at the time. And,
Lights out.
Yeah, Lights out because he's dead. Yeah. But anyway, Templar. But, recently, after how many years now? Like, almost 6 years, 5 years, or something around there? Since I made that character, I get this fucking, forced name change and an email from the customer support. And they, I replied to that customer support ticket. I'm like, why did it get banned? I don't get it. It's not offensive or anything. It doesn't really break code of conduct, terms of service, anything. And you know what the reply I got was? They cannot allow offensive names that against religious shit. Religious.
Huh?
Religious. They think Harambe is religious. Like a fucking religion.
Dear Harambe, please bless this food.
Call of Harambe, bro.
In some ways, I was mad, but in other ways, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Fucking praying to Harambe. I don't know. They took away so many of my great names that I'm so pissed at. Like, I had a Sork named Keanu Weaves.
That's pretty cute. That's pretty cute.
Right, it was like, it's so harmless. They're like, yeah, no, you can't have that. I did have some that were really bad. Like, I had a DK named Whip You Like My Kids. That I understand that one by the other band. But, like, Keanu Weaves, or I had, like, a Stamplar named Jabba the Hutt. They yeeted him.
Oh, man.
What do you think about customer support?
Customer
I think
support?
they've been dropping the ball recently.
It's fucking dog shit. It takes years to get a response, and
I don't know what's going on. I'm sure, like, you know, they're human, but at the same time,
I got a 3-day ban for calling out a pedophile in zone chat for being a pedophile.
Jesus. Dude, why are there pedophiles in ESO, dude?
I mean,
I've been hearing more about that shit.
I've only found the one.
Dude, I feel like I've heard about at least 6 or 7 over the years.
249, if you're watching this, go fuck yourself. Moving on.
Who?
Lima 249.
That's not okay. Yeah.
The one who uploaded a bunch of child
pornography
to a bunch of Discords.
Yeah, I mean that shit's so weird when it happens, then, because it's so shocking.
That man has been blacklisted from everything but his own guild.
Jeez.
It's kind
Bro,
of.
do you remember Isles banned?
Isles got banned?
Yeah, Isle 4. Were you not there for that?
Probably not.
Bro, so he's plays ESO. He's like, I think he was 15 at the time, and he went into a Craglorn's zone chat, and he posted looking for like cute girls 16.
What?
Oh, and they thought he was like.
Oh my god!
Yeah, they sent a message and they banned him. And dude, I'm 15.
You're not even supposed to play the game.
Yeah.
Looking for cute gamer GF16.
Yeah.
Dude. Zoss was like, "Nah, be gone."
Oh my god, dude! It's just, dude. ESO has like really weird characters for sure.
Yeah.
I think it's more amplified because we're at least more connected to one another. It's not. ESO is a big game in terms of like maybe like casual or cyclical players, but for the long-term players.
I will say though, as far as the end game goes, they are very good at canceling really, really shitty people.
What do you mean?
Well, for example, like Lima, or
canceling. Well, I don't. That's canceling. That's just.
Well, like making sure that they
punishment.
have 0 presence. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's
but
a good thing.
There was a dude named like Safe Space or some shit who like spread a bunch of nudes of some of the girls.
Oh yeah.
Yeeted. But stuff like that, like they take that shit seriously and they get rid of all the extremely shitty people.
Yeah, I mean the community's come a long way.
So I mean, obviously you can't force them off the game, but
you can get them.
You can make it so that they have 0 connections, or if they do have connections, those that are willing to be friends with them cannot join. For example, like OMC, like anybody affiliated with Lima gets yeeted instantly. And anybody that's pretty much partnered, like I know in ESO runs, a few of them are like permabanned that the instant they get like make new accounts and get discovered, they get yeeted again.
Yeah, it's a depressing topic. But at the same time, it's a good thing that people, like, back in the day, if this kind of shit happened, people wouldn't give a fuck.
True.
Strangely enough. I mean, I think the whole pedophile thing, yeah, of course people would have given a fuck, but things like nudes or shit like that, drama, people would just kind of feed it more. You know? But anyway, we can move on to the Q&A session real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions for Puppies or Defy or whoever, yeah, you can ask them anything. You can. It's also a Q&A station for you guys too. You can ask me anything, or you ask each other anything, or whatever.
Well, I got a question for Pups.
Okay.
When are we gonna have our fucking Discord date?
This is it.
This is it. Yeah.
This was it.
I mean, this is a pretty nice setting.
We're gonna get.
I can't see Nephis, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
Nephis is just 2 blocks going in a fucking circle. Going.
That's me. That's my personality.
That's your personality. Is that your introvert and your extrovert just going around because you can't?
I don't believe in that shit. I just don't believe in that shit. It's bullshit. It's just bullshit.
All right, what's your horoscope?
Aries.
Yeah, that makes sense. I have no fucking clue what Aries is. Oh man.
I think it's fucking bullshit, dude. Fuck that shit. Just I don't know, man. It's just stupid. Okay, why are you stupid? I don't even know who they're asking.
Why am I stupid?
Why are we stupid? I mean,
it's my horoscope. I was born.
Yeah, I'm an Aries. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
That's an insightful question.
Anyway, no idea if you talked about what are your thoughts with the current class balance. In regards to PvE, it's fine.
I think DK is a little overtuned at the moment.
No, Don't get out of here.
They're pretty fucking cracked. Like they're
correct.
over cracked.
They're pretty correct.
Let them have their time, Defy. Come on.
They had their time like not.
Zos gonna watch
Like a
this.
year ago. No. I'm with
You
that.
know who needs some time?
Sure.
My fucking Necro. Let's go, baby.
Oh, it's
Necro's
literally been
out.
a necro meta for the last like 6 patches.
Just playing.
Dude, Necro's always gonna be meta because of major vulnerability.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, honestly, right now, this is probably one of the most fun patches.
Mhm.
So, like, DPS is extremely high. You can do pretty much anything right now. Like, every class hits hard enough to where you don't have to stack fucking
Yeah.
8 DKs to clear a trial. Like, you can literally do fucking Templars as DPS. You can do Magdans as DPS. Like, everything is at a point right now that it's easily clearable.
Yeah, I don't think class matters. Even like Stam, even though Puppies doesn't like Stam, can be. We're 5 lives away from Planesbreaker, and people kept
That's
asking. And people kept asking me, "Oh, you think Stam PV is possible?" Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, Jesus. And it's mostly these newer raiders, this newer generation of raiders that have never
what I
seen
don't
Stam.
know? It might
These
be- I don't know
motherfuckers
if-
that have only played or raided since 2019 or 2020.
Right.
I don't know if Godslayer is possible on console this patch.
Bro, get the. You're annoying.
Dude, remember when
Yeah,
people
no.
thought Mad Godslayer was impossible? Jesus, dude.
Oh man!
Like, fucking people don't know shit.
All right, what's the next question?
Ask them their opinion on this game not being considered MMO. So this kind of is based on when the studio director, Matt Fear, in interviews about ESO, he says they don't like considering ESO as a MMO or more of a
The
traditional
fuck
MMO.
do they consider it?
Well, he defines an MMO as like a more traditional MMO, like grindy, tab targeting, stuff like that.
Has he played his fucking game?
Yeah, hold on, what?
Well, I think that's more to do with game philosophy,
His
like game
game
design
is a
philosophy.
fucking grind. What?
But you know, sometimes I do feel like the game philosophy does interfere with potential growth for ESO. Like, if you don't consider the MMO to a degree, like, I don't know, there's so many contradictions. I talked about this like last night.
Bro, it's
with
literally an
What
MMO.
else would you consider it? Yeah, what else would it possibly be if it's not an MMO?
I don't know, because it's weird to me.
Fucking semi-multiplayer online? Like, what the fuck are you gonna do?
Like a really good example is like they were really concerned, from what I recall, or assumed about overland population in terms of players. That's why they don't put respect shrines and shit in houses, you know.
Sure.
But recently they added the armory system, right? So it's like it's just what's going on. It's so contradictory. You want to make an MMO, you don't want to make an MMO. You want people to be in overland, you don't want people to be in overland. And there's a lot of conflicts there with monetization too. So it's just weird when they say that shit. It just puts me off a little bit.
Just say it's an MMO. Move on. Easy. Next
Yeah,
question.
it's an MMO. It's an
I just
MMO.
don't know what else you would call it. Like, if you.
All right, next question. Ask them what their opinion on the ongoing lag situation. What does that even mean? Ongoing lag situation? What?
Lag situation.
I think they're talking about the one that started since the game launched.
Deal with it, buddy. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd have to, like, lag situation. Usually, if there's a lag situation, it's mostly internet-based, is what I find.
Typically, I've heard maybe a little bit of issues on maybe some of the older gen consoles. Occasionally, I've heard is a massive issue.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd have to know more, like, what lag they're actually experiencing to answer that one.
Adding more HP on the enemies doesn't make a good game. That's not a question. Let's see. Why are Pups and Defy so much more entertaining than Nephis?
It's because we're console transfers.
Yeah,
It's because we're
they
Xbox
have more.
console transfers
Hey, Xbox NA PvE, baby. Let's
up top.
fucking go.
They're young as fuck. But anyway,
They're young. Oh, yeah, true. Boomer Nephis over here.
let's see.
Doesn't get the young jokes.
Which trials are not Kinraz or stack friendly? I see bad uptimes in VAS +2, but not sure if alternates. Some people are telling me Kinraz, like, I don't know if Yandir's Kinraz is better there. I still think Yandir's might be a little ahead.
I'm pretty sure Yander's.
But you know, someone tested on you or some shit, but Kinraz is
I heard
comparable or
Soul's
better.
was really good there.
But I don't know.
But also, you could just use Zopkins because that's also really good there. at least on Sork.
Okay, we got no more other questions, I think.
Man, we just talked about everything.
Yeah, who's more active on game console? PlayStation or Xbox?
I think.
I don't know.
Doesn't
Depends on
Xbox
the patch.
EU have
How do you define endgame?
most...
No.
Wait, don't they have the most records though? Maybe not on the most active in game.
No, they don't. The most records right now is barely PlayStation NA. But like it's weird because Xbox NA has like the crag records and I think Maw at the moment, and PlayStation has all the harder content. I think that's kind of a question that just kind of more patch. Like right now, I'd say it's pretty even. Maybe a little bit heavier towards PlayStation.
Okay. I have a real question. When is Zos going to take my suggestion of a 6 or 8 player mini trial as a suggestion box? That sounds like dog water. But I kind of understand the need for that at a certain point in the future, once they have enough content. I mean, I think they should do something like that. But right now, it's not really a good time at all.
24-man trial.
Oh, yeah,
I would love that. I would love that. That would be so.
24-man
Yes,
trials?
24 man. Yes.
Bro, we couldn't even light attack with 12.
Well, then just be fucking motivated doing that. Look at the fucking WoW Raiders,
Light
dude.
attack harder.
Dude, ESO players are like fucking soft, dude. They're like the ultra charming soft, dude.
I think
Ultra
24
charming
people
fucking soft.
is what would have been required for Fallgraven's stupid amount of health.
Just ultra charming soft, dude. People just don't want to fucking like, put some time in, you know what I mean? Like, goddamn. Fucking softer than toilet paper. But anyway. How do you feel we, the endgame community, can expand and bring more less trial-oriented players into our raiding communities?
Teach them.
Teach them, but also teach them to also, like, in my opinion, I talked about this with like a bunch of people, other raiders that I've never talked to. They seem to think like training runs are like the main way, but as someone who's been raiding for 6+ years at this point, and also like seeing what the game's like, can probably predict shit at this point too. I don't think training runs alone are enough. I think you need to train people differently. So
this is what you need to do: make videos, YouTube videos, keep them short.
I already do.
To the point. Yeah. But like,
dude, my build videos are like 10 minutes. What the fuck more do you want?
Yes,
Wait, you do this? You make YouTube videos?
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man.
Wow.
So that's the basis. Get them started on the dummy. After that, get them started into the content they want to do. So, for example, short videos about like VCR. Like, say I want to tank VCR. I need to go look up fucking Liko.gg or whatever. We'll say main tanking VCR as a DK. And you'll see like, hey, this is what you run for skills. This is what you do. Say you use wings when she goes to Pokeball. You say you make sure you refresh top before she ports. Just like simple stuff like that to get used to. And then after that, like get into content, do it yourself. And then when you finally get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with this, then introduce using stuff like stagger. Start getting into more like uptimes, helping the group more, use less selfish sets and more buff sets. And I think you have to do it all slowly. You can't just like grab somebody, throw them into a VCR hard mode instantly, like their first fucking day. Like it's not gonna work.
I disagree with the dummy thing. I think you should bring them into the content. I think that's like the only disagreement I have with it there.
But they can't come into content not knowing how to fucking rotate.
Well, you need to teach them. It's gonna take time and effort.
That's what the dummy is for, to teach them.
Bro, we didn't have dummies in the past.
Okay,
and we're fine. We were fine.
Fucking blood spawn for 2
That's not a dummy though. That was just like a test for trying out and shit. Here's the thing, you know what I mean? Like, people just place a bit too much emphasis on dummies these days, and that's coming from someone who does make videos based on dummy parses.
I think the dummy's a good way to get a general concept of your class. I think that there's a benefit to parsing well, especially on console, because it gives you an opportunity out of content to kind of learn the ins and outs of just doing DPS in the most basic situation, as long as you emphasize that, right? But I think the most important thing is like we were talking about earlier, to be a real endgame player, you need people who give back. You can call yourself an endgame give back, so like you need to be the person who puts together these new teams to go push through content and who works with them through all the ins and outs. Like, okay, guys, awesome. VMA hard mode. Now let's go do VAST, and this is what we're going to work on the dummy to try to get our damage better. But in VAST, this is actually how you want to do damage, and make sure that you're focusing on these concepts that you were working on the dummy, and somebody who just understands all the roles and understands how to lead a team and teach them to learn the new content.
I think
we need more people like that.
I think my main thing is you need to teach people how to raid lead.
Yes.
Because the retention rate is so low, especially training runs. It doesn't matter how well you teach them to, even to a degree, the drop rate is so high, right? Eventually, like 3 months in, 6 months in, whatever. But if you teach someone how to raid lead or understand the content to the point they can teach people, that one person can make such a huge impact. One person can make such a huge... imagine if you train 11 raid leads. 11 people making impact. 11 times 11? What is that? What is that? What is that, Defy?
121?
99.
That was 99. What are you talking about, dude? What do you mean?
It's 121.
I need to sleep.
Someone clip that. Someone clip that. Hey, Defy, what's 11? Why are Xbox players bad at math, dude? Somebody asked Cav what was 5 times 5, and she said like 30 or something.
Bro. What was it? 9 plus 10? 21?
You know what I mean? Okay, but anyway, 11 times. Just imagine that, you know? And then they can teach... One of these 11 people can teach 11 other people how to raid lead, and it just keeps going. But the way we've been doing it is like, okay, here's how you do it. Here's the mechanics. Here's your job. Done. You get the skin. Boom. Bada bing. You're out. You're done. You don't really have incentive to go back.
Right.
You know what I mean? All right. The next question. They have 4 main trials. Okay, that's not a question. I've heard you guys shit on VK all stream, but you only brought up the misform nonsense for boss day when it comes to VRG hardware. What about the other boss fights? I find Ox a lot of fun to optimize. I don't know. I don't really care for Rock Grove that much, except...
I honestly, Rock Grove
I don't
is
know.
my
It's just
second
weird.
least favorite.
Second least favorite?
VK is dog shit number 1, VRG is dog shit number 2.
The issue with VRG is that they took a... They're trying to reintegrate as something that they're trying to reintegrate like just clearing hard modes as I guess endgame, but like endgame, especially on PC, is trifectas and score pushing and just constantly pushing yourself to be better, right? So they want to reintegrate this idea of content being difficult to clear rather than what endgame has kind of developed into. And so it's kind of put a kink in what all of the other trials look like compared to VRG, and that's the issue. Sunspire, for example, where on its regular vet, it's really easy to clear. Its vet hard mode is doable for a large amount of players, but like the trifecta is extremely difficult compared to the other versions of the trial, right? Whereas like Rock Grove, when you clear the hard mode, you still have a ways to Planesbreaker, don't get me wrong, but like it's a much bigger leap, or a smaller leap, I mean, than it is from like VSS hard mode to Godslayer, I feel like.
VRG is kind of a really interesting thing to me, not as a player, but as someone who looks at the ESO as not as a content creator, because I feel like VRG is where they're starting to kind of develop more on their philosophy of what veteran content is, or what like Puppy said, endgame content is. Like, what's the philosophy behind Zavaka hard mode?
Right.
Like, the hard mode, you can't mess up much at all to clear, much less for a trifecta. So, is a hard mode something that needs to be closer to a trifecta, or something that is more accessible?
And I think it's kind of too late to break out of what all of the other trials are, right? Like, just kind of have this one odd. Even if the next 2 or 3 trials that came out were similar, I think it's a good idea to recognize where endgame is at and just kind of leave it there and optimize trials towards that concept.
When is Zos gonna bring back the old rating rules? When you lose all your lives, you must reset the trial.
Oh my god.
I remember that. I think they brought that back. It will kill rating. For sure.
Dude, imagine.
What's my opinion on werewolves and trials? Fine, they're
fucking
fine.
love them in PvP.
No, trials.
I know. I'm just saying.
They're fine. As long as you do your shit.
Just as long as it's not a sustain team.
What do you mean? You can werewolf tank now. Legit.
Yeah.
Legit. In VC Army, you can werewolf tank. You can do werewolf tank in anything. Dude.
Imagine blocking a Zamaja heavy with your fucking claws going like this.
You can. That's the thing. All right.
You can roll dodge Zamaja heavy as a werewolf.
Are there any other questions? Who's the best raider in ESO, and why is it not Defy Legends? That's a good question. Okay, actually, legit. Who do you guys think? I will take that as the last question. No one else is. Who's the best raider? Who's the best raider?
It has to be based off roll.
Based on what?
No.
Roll.
Best raider. Period.
Best raider. Period.
Active raider.
Bro, I don't know.
Well, of all time.
Of all time.
Of all time. 2014 to 20. Well,
God.
Technically late 2014 to 2021. Of all time.
I don't know much about endgame rating previous when I started, but I'll give my Lulu.
Yeah,
Bro, he's kind of a fucking animal.
Mine's going to Zynode, easy. Lock in.
But he's not a raider. What are you talking about?
How dare you say he's not a raider?
Okay, how about
That man
this?
is a
Mine is
raider.
Mystics MMOs, dude.
Mystics MMOs.
Mystics
Yep.
MMOs.
He's got it.
Yes!
Defy's face
that
lit
man
up.
is a fucking beast. Oh my, I love Mystic, bro.
So good.
no.
Bro, he was the one
He
that discovered
talks.
Bloodthirsty.
He talks to everyone, all right? He talks to the fucking creators. Mystic MMOs is a
To
god.
CEOs, bro. To CEOs.
That man fucking talks, dude. Holy shit. His
Bro.
mag decay builds are so fucking massive, brain. I just can't. You're right. Zano can go fuck himself. Mystic MMO, fucking lock it in, deal or no deal.
Oh, jeez.
All I'm saying is I would not know how Bloodthirsty works in Mystic MMO.
All I'm saying is I would not know how the VMA dual wield, that magnificent combo.
For oh, he's obsessed with me.
Dude, he was so huge, Rain. He even saw how Sax was going to be useless
But you see what I mean,
before
though.
it came out, dude.
You see what I mean, though.
fuck, bro.
You see, you guys remember
so
what I
good.
mentioned, right? About my general experience and my general thoughts
He's a
are.
PlayStation player.
Yeah, he's a PlayStation peer.
Oh.
Yeah, in my experience, I fucking can't trust PvPers from PlayStation.
Yeah.
But you can trust
enough.
Raiders from PlayStation.
Man's got a point. That might be the best argument I've ever heard in my life.
Yep. Okay, if there's not a best raider, how about best? But you think Lulu's the best raider of all time? I don't think so.
I don't know.
I hard
don't know
disagree.
I don't know many of the Hodor guys. I would have to them, but I think someone said Brennan too, and that's a really good one. But in terms of just really strong players who are absolute fucking animals, the players who come to mind to me are probably Brennan, Lulu, and Style is also a phenomenal player as well.
I think of all time, it's gonna be either Outcast or Xiaomi for me.
Are we saying good at their one role, or are we thinking anything they can play?
No, just Raider. Outcast because he contributes so much.
Yeah, that's huge. Outcast made
So
a massive difference, especially for console.
He paved the way for us.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be talking here if it wasn't for Outcast, for sure.
I agree with that.
Don't think too hard to find.
Dude, I'm honestly so fucking
Go sleep.
exhausted.
Go sleep.
My blood.
We have no more questions.
Fucking log out
We
here.
have no more questions. We've
Just
talked
trying to
about
think.
everything. Console. Talk about a lot of things. We talked about Defy's interesting theory.
A couple of them.
I'm gonna give so much shit after this. Every time I see Defy in Discord, I'm gonna be like, "Yo,
fucking saying 11 times 11.
Oh, it's already been
yo, 11,
It's
yo,
already
someone
been
clipped it. Yeah, 11 times 11. Yeah, hey guys, 11 times 11 is 99.
Dude,
Let's get
I want
rid
to
of the next
see.
YouTube
I
short,
want to
bro.
see you guys do math after not sleeping for 24 hours.
Yeah, I've done it. Shit, I parsed after 17 hours of streaming, I parsed 95k with a fucking sword and board.
That's not.
Get the fuck out of here.
Not
Hey,
math.
go look at it. That's math. I had to figure out shit. What are you talking about? Jesus. Oh man. Oh, we have one more question.
Oh,
What people want to? What? What are you laughing? What are you laughing, puppies?
Fucking chat. He said Defy got 99.
That probably
fuck, that's good.
Jesus, sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
What would people who want to bring Xyno's Immortal Warrior build into Beth DLC? How should we act? Should we just let them be? Yeah, I mean that's okay. Here's the thing with all that shit. It depends, like on the roster or who's handling the roster. Whoever's in charge of the roster is the owner of the house. You can bring whatever you want in. I don't give a shit. No one gives a shit. Even though the toxic casuals make it out to seem like we care about them, you know. Like we care about what you do. I don't give a shit what you do. Just do whatever you want. Who cares?
Because like toxic casuals say, just because we say meta, tell you that something is like the best option if it's not. But like at the same time, like I don't care what you do. Do what you want to do, bro.
Yeah. It's all up to the raid lead. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
All
If you
right.
want a Zyno heavy attack sword, then just hit up Soulfire.
Who's Soulfire?
It's-
I feel like that was a jab at somebody.
No, he's a great guy. He's a guy in Infamous. He's a
Okay.
tank main who DPS or Godslayer.
Okay. When's that Pug Godslayer coming?
I host them like 3 or 4 times a week.
Well, Pug Godslayer, huh? Possible. Possible.
We've gotten a full vet Navi close to 10 times.
Godslayer's not possible on console.
For true.
Oh my god. Alright, well, we're finished the pocket. Thank you guys so much for coming. Eight
Yeah.
puppies.
Yeah, thanks for inviting.
I'm going to
Defy Legends. So you're gonna sleep on
Fucking Defy.
It's
Defy?
Doofy.
I'm going to
Doofy?
sleep on that bed right there
It's a nice
The one
looking
behind
bed.
with the pillow.
What do you have in your background? I'm kind of curious. You have 2 swords? No, wooden bokai. What is that?
It's from Aikido.
Uh-huh.
It's martial arts. It's more of a defensive thing.
You have books. What kind of books?
I don't fucking know. Most of them aren't mine.
Whoa,
You think, bro? I can't even calculate 9 times. Or 11 times 9. You think I can read?
What's that to your left behind you? Is that a rocket or some shit? What is that? What is that?
The what?
To your left, there's like a rocket or some shit on the bookshelf, top of the bookshelf.
A rocket?
Yeah.
Rocket? What?
What is that? Black cat rocket thing?
Oh, the stuffed animal thing?
Is that a stuffed
That's
animal? I can't tell, dude.
It's a stuffed animal my cousin made. Or it's,
Oh.
it's a beanie.
Okay.
That's
It's a
like I said, a
beanie?
rocket. Yeah, it's a
Ooh.
beanie.
And what's in the bookshelves?
Books.
They're all books. Nothing else.
I see a car. That's not a book.
There's a
Just,
car?
like, random trophies.
Are you in your garage right now
No.
with all the bookshelves full of knowledge and your Ferrari?
No. My Ferrari.
Jeez.
Oh man. All right.
Oh,
well,
man.
time to let you guys go.
Alrighty.
Thanks for
I'm good,
coming.
man. Thanks for
Right,
having
thanks so
me.
much. Yeah, thanks so
it
much
was
for
fun.
doing that, man. It was fun.
It was fun.
See y'all.
Take it easy. Thanks again.